Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the B-Leaguers podcast, brought to you by the Koyo Store. Head to thekoyostore.com/B-Leaguers and pick up any goddamn thing you want. Doesn't matter what the fuck you buy on the website. They got a bunch of cool stuff. Use caps, all code B-Leaguers for 5% off your entire order. I would also like to start by saying thank you to everyone who's used that code. I was actually shocked by how many people have actually used that code over the course of this podcast. It's actually impressive because I didn't think anyone actually wanted to use our code, but hey, gets you 5% off. It gives back to the podcast. Haven't made a whole lot of money off of it, but it got us 1 free month of uploading the podcast on the server out of 8. So I'll take it. I'll fucking take it. Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck yeah, dude. Welcome back, everybody. We are back from Raleigh, North Carolina. If you missed it, we were in Raleigh for the major. It was a lot of fun. It was a fucking awful event in terms of games, but it was still fun to be able to hang out with everybody and have some fun. Get to cast the games, get to back work. It was good, but welcome back. It's been a minute. Obviously, we had to take the week and a half off that we were in Raleigh, so we couldn't make a podcast while we were there. A lot of shit has happened, but mostly this is just going to be a Raleigh recap episode. Also, if I sound a little tired or anything, I am fresh off 4 games in the Challenger League qualifiers, and I'm sick. So that's my excuse for sounding like trash. Sam's excuse for sounding like trash is he's just trash.
That is a pretty good excuse, though.
It's a pretty solid excuse. No one's going to blame you for that one. So
No, not at all, dude.
I think we got to start things off on a lighter note. We're going to go to Flynn's Tinder Safari, because I did not forget about that segment, even though I did up until Sam and I were just talking before we started, or before we hit record. Flynn's Tinder Safari. So I only have one story for you this time, but it was weird. So, as you know, I'm an avid Tinder user. And if you don't know me and you don't follow the podcast, I'm an avid Tinder user. I've been using Tinder. I am an avid Tinder user. I love Tinder. Tinder is the greatest fucking invention on fucking planet Earth, man. So I've been on Tinder since I was in high school, and I've met a lot of people along the way. I've met a lot of women along the way, and I've matched with a lot of people. And, you know, some of the faces blend into the background and you forget about them. Some of them you remember, and some of them you actually talk to. I don't talk to a lot of people on Tinder, honestly. I don't reach out and talk to a lot of people.
This man has over 1,000 matches and has talked to literally 45 people. It's actually ridiculous.
Those are very accurate numbers. Yeah, I don't talk to a lot of people. I match with a lot of people. I don't talk to a lot of people. So anyway, I was scrolling through Twitter the other day, and for the last week, I've been very obsessed with my Twitter follower count. And I never talk about numbers on social media. I never talk about my follower accounts and anything, just because I don't care about numbers or anything like that. If you follow me, great. If you don't, I'm not offended by it. I'm not hurt by it. I usually use Twitter just to bitch about hockey or bitch about Siege. So if you don't want to follow me, I'm really I don't fucking blame you. But I've been refreshing my followers or my interactions on Twitter for about a week straight now, constantly. In the middle of casting matches, just out at the bar, on a plane, in an airport, back home watching TV, in the hotel room watching Netflix. I've been refreshing everywhere because I wanted to hit 6969. That's all I cared about. That was the only fucking number I've ever cared about in any metric, in any follower count, on any account I've ever had in my entire life. Oh, wow, I just forgot how to breathe for a second. All I wanted to do was hit 6969, screenshot it, and post it, and be done with my life. So I haven't actually checked my follower account since this happened, but it happened yesterday. And along the way, about 2 weeks ago, so I've actually been refreshing for a while now. I've been paying close attention. I got a follower on Twitter, and it's a woman. And I'm not going to say her name or anything, and she's way too deep down on the list for you people to find.
Get fucked, shitter.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I saw her profile picture, and of course, you know, cute girl follows you on Twitter. You go, yeah, I'm going to look at that. So I checked out her profile, and I saw her name, and I saw her profile picture, and I saw her location was eerily close to mine. She was in a city not too far away from me, and I went, I know this person. Did I go to high school with this person? Did I go to fucking middle school with this person? What? I go to school with this person? What is happening? What is happening? So I'm scrolling through her profile and stuff, and I'm like, this face and this name look familiar, but I've definitely never met this person in real life before. So I can't fucking figure out where I know this person from. So it turns out we matched on Tinder 18 months ago. So I immediately, I put the pieces together, and I didn't actually put the pieces together. I just went to Tinder and searched her name in my matches. Turns out we actually spoke to each other. And she reached out because she's a Siege fan. She saw my picture on Tinder from DreamHack Montreal and we had a conversation about Siege, and that was it. It never really went anywhere. But I was just shocked that this chick had known me for 18 months and just hadn't followed me the whole fucking time. And I was kind of surprised that we met on Tinder, of all places, first. Yeah, so that's my Tinder experience. Sometimes it's good to keep your matches. Just don't unmatch people, because you never know where you'll find them. You'll never know where they come back up in your life. I felt pretty good about that one. I was like, hey, I got a fan through Tinder. Fucking nailed it. I actually doubt she even remembers that fucking interaction. But anyway. Yeah, that's my Tinder Safari story. Somebody matched with me on Tinder 18 months ago. And then, yeah, that was about it.
It's like that. What the fuck was that board game that we used to play where you have to flip the people down? And you have to like just describe what they look like. You're like, do they have a nose? And you go, no. And you have to flip them all down.
Guess who?
They have like a big nose. Guess who? Dude,
Yeah.
It's like Guess Who with fucking Tinder matches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, because I saw her.
Oh.
And I was just like, God, I fucking remember this face from
fucking
somewhere.
know this
I
face, dude.
fucking know this person. I don't know where I know this person from, but I know them from somewhere.
Have I seen her naked? I haven't seen her naked. I
have not seen her naked. No.
Can confirm. Have
Can
not seen
confirm.
her naked.
Can confirm.
Well, I'm proud of you. Proud
There
of
we
you
go.
for playing. Guess Who and being correct. That's good.
Nailed it. So there's your Tinder or Flynn's Tinder Safari story. Now, with that out of the way, let's fucking jump into it. Raleigh, North Carolina, the graveyard of North America.
Right?
So I guess we should talk about our predictions, just to start things off and see how absolutely wrong we were.
I was way more wrong than Flynn was.
You were indeed way more wrong than me. So
Should
let's start
should
with
I-
mine.
Okay, well, I'll go through the bracket first and say what was right, and then we can just go with what's wrong.
Okay.
So they messed with the format a little bit, so ours are going to be a little bit
Yes.
off. So the first was Force Giants. Force takes that 2-0. Next one was G2 Team Solo Mid. G2 takes that 2-0. Space Station Team Secret. Team Secret takes that 2-0. Team Empire FaZe Clan. Team Empire takes that 2-1. Next up, you have Force versus G2. G2 takes that 2-0. Team Secret versus Team Empire. Team Empire takes that 2-1. G2 versus Team Empire in a best of 5. And Team Empire is your Raleigh Major winners. 3-1 fashion.
So that's what happened in the real world. So let's now examine
Welcome to La La
Stoax-
Land, motherfucker.
Let's now examine Stoax's predictions, because I actually have those first instead of my own. So first off, he said, let's just count the number of teams that he said would make quarters that were wrong. He got 3 teams wrong out of 5. That's actually not bad. Oh no, he got 4 teams wrong. I even forgot EG fucked up. So you got half of them right. You got Empire correct. You got Team Secret correct, which I didn't, and a lot of people did not get. And then you got G2 correct, and you got TSM correct. You then fucked up taking Dark Zero, NIP, EG, and Fnatic. You then also said that EG was gonna win the whole fucking thing.
You're goddamn right I did.
You fucked up.
I fucked it, Flynn.
You did indeed fuck it.
I feel like at the bottom of the B Leaguers logo, we need to just put "just fucked it." Like
Yeah.
that's like that. That's like the tagline of this fucking podcast is that we fucked it. Like
The one
I
thing I will give you absolute fucking props for is you guessed an entire, even with the format being fucked by ESL, you still guessed an entire semi matchup and got the result correct. You predicted Empire would play Team Secret in a semi-final game and Empire would win.
hey,
So
go Stoax.
good on you, bud. You got something right. So of course, Evil Geniuses did not make it to the main stage, nor did they win the whole event.
They didn't even win a game.
Time to count how many teams I got wrong, and surprise, it's the same number.
Oh, I canceled. They won one. Anyways, continue.
So the wrong teams to make it were Dark Zero, Rogue, EG, and Fnatic. So the only team that I got right over you was the Giants, and the only team you got right over me was Team Secret. So we fucked up that group hard. We fucked up Group C incredibly hard.
Well, I mean, it was a group of death because EG was in it, right?
Exactly. And I threw up my choking hands immediately hearing that after EG got eliminated.
Dude, the fact that EG and NIP only won one game between them is fucking insane, dude.
So I did not guess any quarterfinal match correctly in terms of which teams would be there. I did not predict any semifinal game correctly, but I did predict the final game correctly as to who would be there. I just picked the wrong team. So I picked G2 to win, and Empire comes out on top in 3-1. And that was a good game. The finals kind of saved the event. Parker said that yesterday in his Bang On. And yeah, I'm well aware of Parker's Bang On from yesterday.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that as well. Don't worry.
Yeah, but let's stay on Raleigh for a minute. North America had a just fucking horrendous showing. Latin America, I think, did a little better with FaZe making it like kind of interesting against Empire, but at the end of the day, they still fell short. So LATAM, NA, and APAC all just had a fucking awful week. Just a fucking forgettable week. Just the good news is there's a lot of teams at DreamHack Montreal from North America. So, you know, there's good odds that a North American team will win DreamHack, but G2's there. And yeah. So NA has a little bit of a brighter future to look out to from the depths of despair that they're currently in. For EU, on the other hand, that was quite an EU dominated tournament for, you know, not a lot of high profile EU teams being there. You know, like Chaos didn't make it. Fucking Penta didn't make it, but they're not looking so hot right now. You got teams like Fours and Secret down in EU Challenger League. Like Fours had just qualified for EU Challenger League a week before flying out, and they made it to the semifinals. They got ass raped with no lube by G2. That was probably in terms of games that I casted, it was fun because it was G2 just kind of fucking around on Clubhouse, so it made it a little bit brighter to cast, but for the most part, that was an awful game to cast. And a lot of the games that I casted were pretty awful to cast. You got a pretty solid one in Empire Secret in the semis.
And you got a shit show.
I got a fucking nightmare of a game. I was kind of happy that the days were quick, because it wasn't an SI situation where every day is 18 hours of work. But on the flip side, those were just fucking horrendous games to cast, horrendous games to watch, barring day one. Day one was okay. Outside of that, man, that was a fucking gong show. That was not. That was not good. I think the other, like, you know, we could always talk about teams that really, like, upset or, like, disappointed. I think one of the biggest disappointments, and I know it's not going to be what anyone out there thinks, but, and I think they kind of fell into the background noise, and teams stopped focusing on them, and players and fans stopped focusing on them pretty quickly. But Fnatic, man, what the fuck happened with Fnatic, man? They looked garbage.
Dude, I have no idea.
They were horrendous against Dark Zero. They fell off the fucking face of the planet against Dark Zero. They weren't even in the game. And then their game against FaZe to keep themselves alive, they looked like they were on fucking life support. Like, that wasn't close, dude. That wasn't close. That wasn't good. That was a disappointment of a fucking game to watch, to cast. And for Fnatic, man, like, there's a lot of questions up in the air right now. We keep talking about NA and obviously all the rumors of roster moves, which we're not going to be touching today because nothing's confirmed.
In the words of Flynn, unless it is confirmed by an org, we are not fucking talking about it.
Exactly. If there's no org tweet about it, you can fuck right off. I know all the rumors. We know a lot of the roster moves already. But it could be an SI situation where it's a giant pump fake again, and I don't want to be responsible for hyping everyone up after we did that at SI and it all came crashing down. So we're just gonna avoid the topic altogether. But for Fnatic, the problem with NA is like you've so much good talent that all lives in the same area, well, in the same country anyway, that you can kind of interchange pieces. But in Australia, that's not the case. ANZ does not have this giant pool of talent that you can pull players from if you wanted to make a roster move. So the question isn't what's Fnatic going to do in terms of roster, it's what are they going to do in terms of fucking playstyle, because they look great at SI. They were a real showstopper at SI. They fell a little flat against who did they play in the first game of Milan Empire? No.
Milan.
Milan.
They played Immortals.
No, EG played Immortals. I actually have to go to Wikipedia.
Then they played. They didn't play FaZe. FaZe went to, no. Did they?
Did they play FaZe?
No, because they would have got knocked out because FaZe went to the second.
Yeah, Fnatic did get knocked out, didn't they?
Oh, Fnatic?
Yeah, Fnatic.
I thought you said FaZe. Okay.
Oh.
I think you said who did Empire.
I actually have to go look. Hold on.
I'm doing it right now. I'm right there.
Already there, are you? Well,
yep,
I'm already there
finals.
too. They lost to. They beat Nora.
Team Empire beat Dark Zero. FaZe beat Nora, then lost to Empire in the semis.
Yep. I forgot about that entirely.
And this is the land where I was like, hey, Evil Geniuses is actually really playing well. They'll do really well at Raleigh. Cancel that.
Yeah, that's why I completely forgot what Fnatic did, because I didn't cast any of their games in Milan. You and I did Empire, Dark Zero, and EG Immortals, and then we did EG FaZe. Forgot about that. Yeah, so Fnatic is, I don't know, they look good up until this point. And then, I don't know, Raleigh's just the curse, I guess. Hopefully they do better in Japan, because God knows they're making it. Like, there's no way Fnatic doesn't make it to the Pro League finals in Japan. It's less of a travel, so maybe they'll be better rested in comparison to teams that haven't had to make that journey before. But for right now, all my attention is on Fnatic and kind of how disappointing their run was. And, you know, we talked to Dizzle and we talked to Magnet and Virtue, and, you know, we hung out with a lot of the guys, and Aces. We hung out with a lot of the guys throughout the week, because it was kind of a pity party, really, for a lot of teams that really had higher expectations heading in. Like Evil Geniuses, like Dark Zero, like Rogue, like Fnatic, you know, teams like that we can talk to and have pretty good relationships with. We're talking to them, and a lot of the same stories are coming out, where it's like we had the game plans, our scrims looked good, and then we walked in and our execution just fell flat. And it's like, well, you can only use that excuse for so fucking long before your execution needs to be looked at, and your game day performance needs to be looked at. You can be the best scrim warriors in the world, but if you can't play on game day, there is something fucking wrong.
The amount of times that I've been in, sat in on scrims, played scrims or whatever, and you see somebody do some dumb shit, and the amount of times that after that dumb shit, someone says, do it on game day.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
dude, scrim energy is a thing.
Really
scrim energy is 1,000% a thing.
You gotta play like you scrim, bro. You gotta play like you scrim.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Any other, like, disappointments? Because I think we can rant and rave about Secret and Force in a minute.
I don't really
suck my ass.
Dude, I'm fucking streaming today. On a side note, while I'm looking through things, I was streaming today, and fucking Nick D gets shot and he dies. So like this guy holding this pixel angry, he goes, "Oh, dude, fuck!" And I was like, "Dude, you die?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm as dead as Flynn's dad." Like, and dude, my entire chat blows up and they're like, "Holy fuck!" I was like, "No.
It's cool. It's cool. It's cool.
It's fine. It's fine. It's good." Because like I just died. Like, because I hadn't heard it in like 4 days. So like my entire soul, dude, like just got murdered.
Oh, you know what? I didn't really want to pivot off the games too quickly. Golden Boy. Shame on all of you who didn't like Golden Boy.
Fuck every single one of you in your mouth if you talk shit about that man. I swear to God.
God, I love Alex.
Can I take this for a second?
Go for it.
If you're gonna sit here and be fucking butthurt that Matt didn't get a fucking job, that's on Matt. That doesn't mean that you get to all of a sudden fucking turn around and go, "Oh, ESL wronged him." What if fucking Matt did something that none of us know? You don't fucking know that. Don't sit here and act like you work for this fucking company. That's fucking stupid. It's so dumb. And then you treat Golden Boy like shit, who's the best fucking host in all of esports, by the way. Like, what the fuck? He chose to come to Rainbow Six. He doesn't need you. He doesn't need Rainbow Six. He doesn't need it. He came here because he likes the fucking game. And then you guys all choose to treat him like shit. Thanks for worrying about the scene. Fucking stupid. So dumb. It's actually ridiculous.
It was horrendous to see that, and I felt so fucking bad. And like, Michael and I were actually talking about it, Kickstar. We were talking about it afterwards, and we're like, yeah, you know, Flynn got the same treatment when he went to Pro League. Stoax got the same treatment when he did SI. Blue got the same treatment at DreamHack Winter. Like, for some reason, and I don't know where it comes from, but all of us in the talent pool have to get absolutely fucking burnt alive on Reddit before we're accepted. Like, there has to be, it's like a rite of passage to get into Siege talent in any way. No matter what you do, if you're not an incumbent. Dude, it happened to Parker when he came in. It happened to Parker, it happened to
Parker
Gasson.
was way more competent than all of us when he first started.
Yes. Are you kidding me? You look at my fucking casting at USN versus fucking,
Dude, I saw a fucking clip of my casting for like CO quals like a year ago.
Yeah, it's bad.
And bro, like fucking, there was a Montang pushing. I was like, Montang motioning towards door. Like, what the fuck? I was like, bro, holy shit. Oh my god. I don't know what happened, what switch flipped in my head to where all of a sudden I can cast, but Jesus Christ, dude, that was abysmal.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about this community, but like, man, we all just got to get fucking roasted before y'all like us or something. Because I had like 0 fans. Like, I picked up a decent number of fans after like DreamHack Montreal. And granted, my performance at USN was god awful. So I don't blame you guys for like the roast after USN and stuff. But like, after DreamHack Montreal, I had a bunch of fucking like threads that were like, yo, this guy's fucking trash. And I was like, it stings a little bit, but like, the supporters outweigh the detractors always, but when you're the person being talked about, the detractors will always have a louder voice than the supporters. So now that Stoax has done his his mental breakdown, I think the one thing that I will say about the community, to try and tack on to his point without alienating everyone.
I didn't alienate people. It's dumb, dude.
I think the one thing I will add is the community in Rainbow Six Siege is very comparative for I don't know what reason. It kind of started a very, very long time ago and has never really been checked. No matter what it is, whether it's talent, whether it's players, whether it's teams, whether it's anything, like events, like there will be a post, and I saw this the other day on the Reddit. It was like, what was your favorite LAN event? And then everyone in the comments is going each other over which games were better at which event. Like, you all, like, the subreddit always has to compare things and get into an argument about comparisons rather than just saying your piece and fucking moving on with your life. And I don't know where this comes from. I don't know what started it, but it certainly hasn't ended or gotten any softer over time. There are people yelling at each other on the subreddit, probably down to this minute right now as I'm speaking about this, about how FaZe versus EG at SI18 was a better game than Liquid versus G2 than Penta at Atlantic City. And it's like, does that really fucking matter, man? Does that really, like, the question was, what's your favorite event? Just say your favorite event and say, I really liked when this happened, and then fucking leave it at that. Who's your favorite player? This person. Why? Because they're my favorite player. Like, you don't need a reason. You don't need a reason to have favorites. You don't need to justify everything. Your opinion is not being put on record and not being put in a report. It's not being scrutinized by professionals and being weighted as to whether or not it's a good opinion or a bad opinion.
This is so much better than what I said. Yeah, we'll cut what I said. Yeah. 100%.
So my thing with talent is you can have favorites and you can not like talent, but you can just say that. You can just say, hey, Flynn, I just don't like your casting style, and move on with your life. And I will say, cool, bro. I appreciate that you have an opinion and you're more than fucking welcome to it. You're
Fuck
more
you,
than
Fabian.
fucking welcome to say, I don't like your casting style. And I will be okay with that because everyone has favorites and everyone has people, whether it's players, whether it's teams, whether it's casters, everyone's gonna have things that they don't like. And that's fine. But holy fuck does the subreddit have a Viagra-fueled hard-on for comparing things. Who's the best player turns into a 95-hour argument through 120 comments. Who's the best caster? Dude, you're talking about things that aren't comparable. Not truly. Not truly. Is Parker probably the best caster out of all of us? 100%. Let's all be honest. Let's put it out there right now. Parker is probably the best caster in Rainbow Six Siege, and I'm not here to dispute that. I'm not here to argue it. I will openly admit to that. I am not as good as Parker. But Parker can't do everything. So then, next up is the B-Leaguers, right? That's what we call ourselves. We're well aware of this. We don't try to front like we're better than everyone. We don't try to front like there's a disparity in favoritism at some kind of corporate level. We understand that, you know what, intrinsically and just naturally, Parker is much more gifted than at least myself personally at casting. And that's fine. That's fucking fine. There are people who like me more than Parker. There are a lot more people who like Parker more than me. It's okay. But you don't need to fucking drag it out into a post every week about it on the subreddit, man. You don't. And the same thing goes for players. My favorite player in hockey is a player who barely, like, there are not many people out there who have my favorite player as their favorite player. My favorite player in the NHL is Morgan Riley.
Where the fuck that is?
Exactly. He's a defenseman on my team, on the Toronto Maple Leafs. And everyone, when they get asked, the general population will say someone like Austin Matthews or Mitch Marner because they score a lot. They make the flashy plays.
Why is this guy your favorite?
Because I was a defenseman growing up. And I modeled my game off of a lot of the play style that Morgan Riley modeled his play style off of. And I respect that. I like the way he plays the game. It's very similar to the way I played it. So if you have a favorite player out there, just fucking say that. Say, hey, I like the way Uno plays because he kind of plays like me. I play like Uno. I look up to Uno and I think, you know, I like the way that he plays and I want to play like him. So that's why he's my favorite player. It doesn't need to be, well, Uno had a 1.16 rating and fucking Kanto had a 1.15 rating. And if you go back to fucking 2015 when none of them played the game, Uno ate cornflakes instead of Cheerios. It doesn't need to be an argument. It doesn't need to be a comparison. You can just say, this person's my favorite, and fucking move on with your life. And the same thing happened to Golden Boy. Oh, Matt's my favorite, but this is why. Oh, fucking Golden Boy didn't know it was Fabian instead of Pengu. And then it turns into an argument about what did Matt fuck up? What did Golden Boy fuck up? Who fucked up this? Who fucked up that? It's always a detractive conversation filled with negatives and comparisons instead of a conversation saying, I liked the way that Golden Boy presented himself. I liked the prestige he brought to the event. I liked the way he carried himself. Or, comparatively, if you liked Matt better than Golden Boy, you can say, hey, I thought Golden Boy was okay, but I like Matt's presentation style better. Or maybe you can say, well, I really like nostalgia. I'm a very nostalgic person, and Matt's been around for a very long time, and I like Matt because he reminds me of the early days. That's so fucking fine to say! You are so okay to say that! No one's gonna argue with you if you say that. You say that, you say those exact words, and no one's gonna fucking care. You're fine. But it doesn't need to be, oh, Fabian didn't get his name said correctly by Golden Boy, and then Matt said Shockwave during the trophy presentation, and then you go back to SI and Matt fucked up one of the teams coming on the stage, or the clip where Matt didn't even know the team that was coming out and just said, these guys, like, you don't need to bring this shit up. And I've seen all of this on the subreddit, by the way. I'm not pulling shit out of thin air. This is all shit I've seen on the subreddit, where everything needs to be a goddamn comparison, and you have to fight over it. If you have a favorite, just have a favorite, man.
Dude, my favorite part is when they get mad, and then, like, for instance, like when they get mad at us, and you're like, "Yo, if like you have some constructive criticism, like I'd be willing to hear it," and then they immediately just get pissed that you asked them. And they're just like, I have a fucking bleh. And they're like, just go down this entire list, just like trying to fucking degrade like every part of what you do. And you're like, okay. All right. Well, apparently you just don't like my casting, dude. That's fine. It's good. Very well spoken, Flynn. You're a lot longer on the wind up to the pissed part, but that's yeah, that's good. Yeah, we're probably gonna cut my part because I'm going through some shit right now and I need to blow off some steam, and you guys.
I'm gonna leave it in there. I'm not even gonna touch it. I'm gonna leave it in there. You said your
Are you
piece.
really? Oh fuck.
You said your piece. Stick with it. Unless you actually want me to remove it. Then I'll remove it.
I just don't want it to fucking like get me in trouble, dude. I mean, that's the only thing. Like I didn't say like. You and Parker are the two that will say things extremely calmly, but I don't get pissed off like that, and people just try and put fucking words in my mouth and say everything else. It just angers the fuck out of me. So it just tilts me beyond belief. So we should probably remove it. I will re-say it right now, and then we'll just cut the earlier part. So,
okay.
Very short, very sweet. Everyone has opinions. Just because you have an opinion does not automatically mean that your opinion matters. If you're going to say your opinion, then say it in a constructive way, like what Flynn was representing, instead of being a complete and total fuck and saying it like a complete idiot by screeching what you're trying to say, because it literally gets you nowhere. All you're going to do is start a combative argument, and it's literally going to lead to nothing, just like politics, where no one's willing to see the other side of the argument. They just want to yell and spit and fucking screech about whatever their opinion is, and everyone needs to kneel down and fucking kiss my toes. Okay? So just please, for the love of Christ and all that is holy, be a regular fucking human being and just write something out that isn't shit. There you go.
Yeah, you can say something about one person without saying something bad about another person. I think that's what this entire conversation boils down to. So, Golden Boy was incredible. I loved working with Alex. I swear to God if he doesn't come back because of the backlash on Reddit, which I don't think it affected him too hard, but you could see it, especially after the first day where it was just like thread after thread after thread after thread after thread of we hate Golden Boy, go home, re. I don't think it phased him too hard. He's been through a lot of stuff, but like Parker said in his bang on yesterday, we now have the distinction of being the first community that has had Golden Boy come in and immediately rip him to shreds. And that's not something that I'm proud of.
He literally said that,
community.
by the way, guys. Like that's not Flynn's not paraphrasing. Like he literally said, "This is the first time I've ever been so attacked by a community when I first come to it."
Yeah,
that's the word for word, and he's done like 7 separate games.
Yep. So pats on the back, everybody. Really proud of you all. Really happy to be a part of this community. And if you can't hear the sarcasm dripping out of my fucking mouth, then I'll get you a sarcasm meter.
/S.
Moving on, because I think that topic took up a little bit of time there. Let's get back into the games. Talked about the team that I was most disappointed in, which was Fnatic. Honestly, I still think they have a bright future, but options are limited being in APAC. On the flip side, the team that I was really impressed with was Team Secret. And, I mean, Team Secret was the team that I predicted would make it to Milan in Season 9. And boy, did that not happen. So I'm glad they're back on pace. Fonkers is a really nice guy. I love Fonkers. He was really fun to hang out with throughout the event.
He's such a nice guy. Fonkers
such a good guy. Man. I was glad I was able to meet him. He was talking about like how he was shaking a little bit in the first few games because this is his first major. This is his first like actual like giant ass event, and he was talking about the shakes and stuff and talking about how he was getting over it. And we just had like some really good conversations. He's a fun guy to talk to. G2 still impressed me. I came in thinking the G2 was going to win the whole event, and they still impressed me because you never really know how that's going to translate when their online play has been pretty poor lately. They've been pretty bad in the online season in Pro League for back-to-back seasons now. And I guess just because, I don't know, I'm laying into G2 at the moment, even though I said they impressed me, we were correct. G2 will not win another premier event in Rainbow Six Siege in 2019.
Yeah, fucked everyone. We got that shit right, and you all called us dumb. Fuck you.
They will have one Premier Championship, the World Championship, so the best one to win, but they will only have one in 2019. out of 4. Didn't make it to Milan, lost in the finals in Raleigh, and it's looking like right now it's nearly mathematically impossible for them to make it to Japan. So the outlook for G2 right now is SI 2020, and if they can even make it, because if they don't make it to Milan, or sorry, not Milan, to Japan, then they won't have an automatic spot. They don't have a spot carried over from winning the major this time, so they're attending DreamHack Montreal, and that, of course, gives you a seed to the Six Invitational in 2020 if you win, and they still have to win. Granted, NA looked really, really bad in the major, so I think G2 right now are the odds-on favorites to win DreamHack, but you never know. And that's just around the corner, actually. That is just around the fucking corner. That's in 2 weeks from the day. It starts 2 weeks from today, Friday, September 6th. G2 impressed me though. Secret impressed me. Fours is a weird one for me. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there expecting me to say 4s, but I don't know, man. Looking back on the games and looking at how bad they were against G2, I would say if 4s played their playstyle against G2, it probably would have worked a little bit better, but they ultimately still would have lost. I don't know. They made Dark Zero look like fucking idiots. And looking back, it's hard to judge whether or not that was Dark Zero being so bad, because I cast the game. And I'm just thinking back on the match right now, thinking that, Forza's aggression was something that really couldn't be quelled by a lot of teams until they played a team like FaZe and until they played a team like G2. And I don't know, they just needed a team that was ready to take that kind of engagement, and Dark Zero weren't ready for that at all. FaZe were kind of ready, but it took a minute. And then, I don't know, their game against G2 just really took the wind out of my sails in the Force train. Or the Force sailboat, I guess, if I want to keep the metaphor the same. I don't know. They were impressive for what they are, which is a Challenger League team. And I think there's a lot of fans out there still pegging them to be one of the favorites to win EUCL in Season 10. However, I think the competition in EU right now, it could throw a few wildcards at them. It could throw a few curveballs at 4s, and they might not be able to win as dominantly as everyone is predicting they will after their performance at the major. Any ups for you in terms of teams from the major, Samuel?
Anything that impressed me?
Yeah.
Dude, SSG impressed me. They really did. I think them with Fultz is really good. I think they might be a team that might bring us out of the dark ages. Yo, Flynn and I might have called this shit from way back, dude. This might have been like a fucking half-court shot on this shit, to be honest.
Hey, Space Station is still my team to die on, no matter what.
We're gonna continue to die on that hill.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll die on that hill every event. I don't really care, because I still believe that they're a damn good team.
Yo, Flynn. They put the fucking talent show matchup on the fucking thing, dude.
Oh, on YouTube?
No, on Liquipedia.
On Liquipedia? You're shitting me.
We're on Liquipedia. And even has the bands,
shitting me. You are shitting me.
Dude, do they have our fucking stats?
No, there's no way CGG did stats for that. There's no world in which
Liquipedia has it, though, dude. That's fucking wild.
It's amazing.
Veli still doesn't have a Liquipedia page. Get fucked, shitter.
He doesn't. Wow. We all do. Smile.
Can somebody make him one, please? Also, if one of you guys controls Liquipedia, can you please update my photo for DreamHack? Because my hair looks so fucking bad in that shit, dude. I didn't have any gel.
They changed mine. I liked mine from DreamHack Montreal, and then they put my picture up there
yours
from
was
Valencia.
Fucking sick. The one with
yeah.
Your other one's way better with you facing the camera. That shit looks tough, dude.
Yeah.
No, but okay. On a side note, just for since we kind of went over the talent show match. Oh, also other teams that impressed, Team Secret. I'm glad that they're back. I'm glad that Pharaoh's still playing like a fucking bat out of hell. They look really, really good. I think they're going to continue to look good. They're going to fight through CL. We'll have to see how they do against 4s there. 4s, I honestly agree with Fabian. I think a lot of people that's played them before just played like shit, and G2's used to playing people that are work very quick with strat, and 4s works very quickly with strat, and they just put him in the fucking dirt. So, I mean, the man kept his words, right? There you go. So, made everybody believer.
I think the other team that really fucking impressed me was TSM. I think TSM is looking honestly, like a damn good team.
They look so good with Poach, dude.
And that was weird, the roster move for Crusher being dropped, and I don't know, because I don't know what's going on there with Crusher right now. They said he had confidence issues. I think he's just getting straight up dropped. I don't think they're going to continue on with Crusher, and they're going to replace him full time with Pojo, or they'll find another person to come in. But for right now, I don't think you should rock the boat. I think Pojo's doing fine as he is, as a coach/player. And I think TSM's fine with him. I think there's obviously room for improvement with TSM's roster in terms of Pojo. But I think for right now, he's doing fine. I love that team. I don't know, it's turning into another hill I'm going to die on, honestly. I was the TSM fucking fanboy #1 for the Pro League predictions. Heading into the beginning of Season 10, there were two teams that I had a lot of faith in doing really well, and it was Sisu and it was TSM, and both of them let me down so goddamn hard in the fucking Pro League predictions because they both were ass online. Sisu obviously has a lot of fucking things going on with him, so we'll see what happens there, and then TSM had a lot of faith in heading into the season, and they seem like they're another team kind of like G2, where they perform on LAN, they perform in BO3s, but for right now in BO1s online, they're just not the team. So we'll see how they do at DreamHack. See maybe if they can get that SI spot locked up early, but I was really impressed with TSM. I'm really glad they're doing well. The rest of NA needs to sort out their issues, though. And then, what, did you want to move to show match? You want to talk about that?
Dude, sure, dude.
All right, show match. So we got informed a week before we left that we would, I don't know, the information we got was very confusing because we got told that talent would be required to play in the show match. And immediately all of us thought that they finally capitulated and they did casters versus coaches. We all thought that was the case, so we started making short lists of people who would be up there on the stage playing against the coaches. And then it comes out, as we get there on Sunday for our first rehearsals. We got in Saturday. We're talking to our manager and we're talking to everyone on Sunday when we go in for our first rehearsal, and they're like, it's talent versus talent. So you need two teams out of the talent. So we got a little disappointed in that because we wanted to play a show match where we were actually trying, and we didn't really get to. Some of us were trying, some of us weren't. I think in the beginning we tried pretty hard in the talent show match. I really liked the draft. The draft was funny.
The draft was something, dude.
The draft was funny. I really did like that. I like to be able to come out on stage. I was wearing my Skinner jersey.
Dude, that was so good.
I came out and I did the Money Manziel as soon as I was walking down, and I was wearing my Skinner jersey. It was that was a lot of fun to be able to do and fuck around with. The rehost obviously sucked. That really that killed a lot of the momentum that we had going, and I think that also just kind of threw everyone to troll mode. After that, I don't think it was right after the rehost, but the next round after, I went for a fucking jump out on Veli out of top of server onto the map stairs, and I don't know, it turned into a bit of a shit show near the end, and came down to a rock paper scissors game. So I don't know. It was fun to be able to get to play on stage. It was fun to be able to interact with the fans in that way. I just think, that rehost really killed a lot of our momentum, and I think a lot of us out there, in terms of talent, still want a game where we can go hard. And I know Parker right now is on this bender of make it a meme match, make it a funny match, but I think, honestly, a truly good competitive game of casters versus coaches would be fun. It would be close, and it would be a fun game to watch. If we're actually out there trying, both sides are trying, maybe throwing a meme in here every now and again, but really giving it our all. I think I still think that would be entertaining. And Parker and I can have our differences on that, and that's fine. But I still think that would be fun to watch as a spectator.
So should we go through the full setup and everything? Because I think it's worth.
What?
The 1v3 that happened before, and I just fucking screamed while everyone was in there.
Oh yeah, so we were doing a warm-up and stuff. We were all in the server just warming up before we went live. And fucking Sam 1v4'd us, actually. I think it was a 1v4.
Yeah, 1v4, you were still up, Rams
Yep.
was still up, and so was Kix. And it came down to a 1v1 between me and Kix. Kix has plant down behind monitors on Old Canal.
Yep.
So I throw a nitro on box. This is going to be a bunch of description if you guys have not played Canal because the map's so fucking old, but this is some old comp shit. So I throw the nitro on box because I'm Valkyrie, and I blow it and peek the door at the same time, but I sprint up to there's like a quarter wall that sits there.
Yeah.
And then I peek out, and then he dips up and looks box, and I shot Kix in the head. And right when I shoot Kix, obviously, like, I'm in the zone and I'm like Flynn. So when like I win some shit like that, I literally just at the top of my lungs while like the crowd is coming in, I scream, "Get fucked, Kix, you shitter," at the top of my lungs. And literally, like, I look up and realize the entire crowd's there, and I take my headset off, and everyone just goes, "Yeah,
Yeah."
It was fucking hilarious. But
That was
overall,
so funny that the fucking crowd was walking in while we were fucking warming up and shit. Oh my god,
dude.
I was
But overall,
dying.
LAN experience, fucking dope. It is so much fun to play on.
Yep.
Except I will tell you this, sensitivity is so much different on LAN for some reason. It's really fucking weird. I literally set my sensitivity to the same thing I play at home, completely different. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know if you had that, but I had that. I might be because I play on my desk, which is a mouse pad instead of an actual mouse pad. So maybe like the difference in mouse pad fucked me up. I don't really know, but it's fucking weird, dude. But like the thing that made me sad is I finally got my sensitivity where I wanted it in between the matches, and then I take my headset off and they're playing rock, paper, scissors, bro.
Yep.
Fuck.
Yeah, the show match was fun. I think Kazoku was a great addition. I think Kazoku always adds a lot of brevity and levity to the situation. Sorry. Where it's just he's a funny guy, and he was talking to us. He even subbed in for a couple rounds for us, which was fun.
I spawn killed him.
You did. You're an asshole.
Dude, he didn't. He was looking the other way, and right when I downed him, in my head, the right side of my brain goes, "It's Kazoku, don't kill him," and the left side goes, fuck him.
Fuck him.
Like, he's already down. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, Flynn, I should have downed him and picked him back up. Like,
it was a fun time. I think the content creator cup was a little more interesting because there were more games that were played, and there were more fans of people that were on the stage. So I think that drew in a lot of the crowd a little bit more. Parker obviously again had his gripes with the content creator cup, and that was okay.
Everyone was getting all pissy at me for like casting and fucking all that kind of shit for that. And it's like, dude, here's the reality, guys, of all this shit. Okay. I am not going to go 100% when I literally just casted an entire week's worth of casting on a show match. I'm not going to shoutcast it super hard. Our job is literally the same as Twitch Rivals at that point. You talk about people and you just kind of talk over them. Even Twitch Rivals a little bit more hype. If you guys go back, Flynn and I actually have a really good clip from Twitch Rivals.
Oh yeah.
It's is it Shorty?
I think it was Shorty, yeah. And the one.
Yeah, Shorty is Mira, and he didn't have any ammo in his Vector. We're like, still got a nitro cell though, and he throws it to White Stairs. But Flynn and I are both so used to casting with Spectator that we didn't think anyone was on White Stairs, and he blows it up and kills 2 people. We're both like, ah, like, fucking hilarious.
Yeah, casting a show match. So I didn't want to cast a show match at all.
So he got out of it because fuck Flynn.
I got out of it for my own reasons, and I'm not actually even allowed to talk about why. I really didn't want to do it. So just gonna leave it at that. But yeah, show match casting is not the greatest because you want to go hard, but you can't really because you got other shit to do during the day, and you've already been going hard for a week, like. And the games just aren't the same. It's not the same as like a pro game. It's a different environment entirely. So going softer on a show match is definitely understandable. I don't know. Like outside of the show matches, I thought the event was. I really liked the actual venue, the convention center. The convention center was awesome. And yeah, I think the fans back home anyway that were watching online really didn't get to see the full magnitude of the crowd. Like it was pretty fucking big.
That's why, just to talk about a side note on that.
Yeah.
That's why if you guys notice inside of my cast, and the next day Flynn actually noticed this because I think you said something about it, about like crowd control and shit.
Yeah.
But that's why the next day, like, not only did I make that tweet about like, hey, let me help you out with something. Here's all the things that are being fixed. Blah 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 blah. That's why the next day I really leaned into playing with the crowd because I wanted you guys to experience what we were experiencing because it was a fucking amazing venue. It really was. Like, as Flynn said, like the games weren't the best, but that crowd was fucking awesome. So awesome, dude. They were doing everything. Even the fucking, and another thing to even add, even the fucking soccer chant thing that happened, dude.
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, sure, it was cringy, blah, 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 blah. Dude, here's the thing. Do you honestly think that any caster that has been casting for a decent amount of time gives a fuck if they're being cringy or not? Because here's the thing. We embarrass ourselves in front of hundreds of thousands of people all the fucking time. I literally cannot embarrass myself anymore. I could walk in downtown LA naked and I wouldn't be embarrassed. Like, it's just part of the job, dude. Like, you're there to be entertaining and give people good shit and information. Like, that is your job as a caster, is to elevate the match. You're not supposed to take away from it. If some shit comes out flat, it comes out flat, dude. But it happens, I was just trying my fucking best to make sure that you guys everywhere could see that crowd was so active and they were ready for fucking anything, dude. It was awesome. It was a great experience.
The crowd
wish we were in there.
Yeah, the crowd was really good. I was really quite disappointed that we weren't casting in the crowd, and we made that very, very well known to the tournament organizers and everyone kind of responsible for that. All of us, it wasn't just me and Sam, like all the talent wanted to be in the room, especially Veli. Veli likes to play with the crowd and have a lot of crowd reactions and stuff, so for him doing the trash can joke and not having a bunch of fans behind him losing their shit kind of took away from it. Also, because it was the first day and the crowd noise wasn't piped in to the broadcast on day one of main stage, it was a very soft reaction, and that's not a lot of fun, so hopefully for future events like this, we'll be in the crowd like we were for SI, and like we were for Milan. So yeah, that's
hopefully we cast SI.
Hopefully we cast SI. Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's just changes. That's all we really want is a few changes. But the venue was really nice. The signing sessions were a lot of fun. Thanks to everyone who came out and said, we're B-Leaguers fans. Shouts out to you guys.
That was so crazy.
That was
you guys
wild.
are fucking awesome.
That was wild.
Like, Flynn and I were next to each other at a signing, and like Flynn and I were next to each other for maybe what, Flynn, like 20 minutes?
Oh, that first one? No, we were there for more than an hour.
No, I'm saying like when you were sitting next to me because you came in later.
Oh, I did come in late, yeah, because I just got off casting a game.
How long were you there with us? Like 30 minutes, 20 minutes?
Yeah, about half an hour, yeah.
Yeah, like every other person that came up to Flynn and I, like, yeah, we're big B-Leaguers fans. We're like, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
Like,
who listens to us?
Yeah, we're like, what the fuck? But dude, it was crazy. Again, like, here's the thing, and again, because I know we're leaving that thing in from earlier about all that shit. I'm kind of cooled down now. You guys will see later. Like, I'm just going through some shit right now. But anyways, look, I don't give a fuck if you give your opinion about shit. Like, we're literally giving our opinion on a podcast. The thing is, actually formulate your opinion. Don't just say some dumb shit to say some dumb shit. That's basically what I'm trying to say. All right, with shitting on you a lot less. There you go. That's it.
All right. I think that's about it for Raleigh. We have a lot of questions to get through, so I think
let's cook it.
Raleigh. We don't really have any like stories we can tell from Raleigh because it was a lot of fun. We'll leave it at that. We will leave it the fuck at that. But let's jump into the Q&A. We're about an hour deep already, so are we an hour deep? We are just about an hour deep. So we got an hour to kill in Q&A, and to be honest, it's probably going to take that long because of all the questions. So let's start at the top and work our way down. First one up is Dunelm1. Obvious, but how viable do you think the new ops are, and your thoughts on the pilot program and skins? So the new ops, Amaru and Goyo, I think they're really strong. I don't think they're broken by any stretch, but I think they're quite strong. Both their utilities are a lot of fun to play with. So I think they'll both be very strong when they do come around into competitive as well. I don't know how much use Amaru will get inside of like competitive, simply because like mobility is good, don't get me wrong, but it's not a very team-oriented utility. So we'll see. Goyo, on the other hand, is going to slow things down so much. It's a good shield deterrent. It's a good rush deterrent. It's a very distracting piece of utility. It's a very intimidating piece of utility. The shields right now are very, very strong, and I think a lot of the pro community right now is under the consensus of maybe take the fire damage or spread one or the other down a little bit, and we'll be happy.
That thing fucks you, dude.
That thing fucks you pretty hard.
It hits so hard.
I think the weapons on Goyo as well, a 2-2 with a Vector, that is a strong flex operator there as well, because you don't need to be near his utility to use it.
Mm-hmm.
If it gets blown up, it still goes
Anybody
off,
can use it.
and anybody on your team can shoot the pack and blow it up.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be something we haven't really seen a whole lot of so far in terms of operators, where you have a flex operator, so someone who kind of roams around a little bit outside of the site, but his utility is still site-centric. Mm-hmm. That's a little, it's interesting.
Also,
Amaru.
Excuse me. Sorry.
I was going to say, Amaru, like I said, not very team-oriented utility, very selfish operator, so I think lots of ranked play, obviously. Lots and lots of ranked play. Not so sure about the competitive viability, especially with the weapon loadout. You're probably like, the G8 got an angle grip on the TTS, and that's fine, but the G8 still has a lot of recoil. So I don't know. My ideal kit right now with Amaru is the Supernova and an SMG-11, just because
you're goddamn right.
I use the SMG-11 all the time, so that keeps things pretty close range. Can't take a lot of long range engagements, stuff like that. That really bring it away from competitive aspects, but I think she's still a great operator.
All right, well, guess that means it's me, right?
Go for it.
Amaru's a meme. She's literally a fucking meme. Like, the only thing I can think of for her inside of a competitive environment is that you get instant map pressure. Say, like, you clear an area of the map. Like, for instance, Cafe, you recognize out that mining's clear immediately. You just immediately fucking yeet that bitch inside. Just fucking Spider-Man right up through the window, and you're instantaneously inside. She can hold things down and wait for people to get up there, so you have that map pressure instantaneously instead of having to go through the whole fucking sequence of bullshit. I think that works out really well for her. Other than that, I don't think she has any redeemable qualities. She's super loud. She has a cooldown after she hops in the window. I literally made a joke on stream yesterday that she basically has to tie her shoes before she actually does anything once she gets inside. Which is completely true because you have like a 2-second cooldown. It's really, really dumb. But, also, the defender, Goyo, I feel really good about him. And I feel like he fills the role that Flynn was talking about, which is flex. You don't want to use him for every single site. He's not good for every single site, but there are some sites that he is damn good on. And I think the best thing for him is fallback strats. I was actually using him on Outback. We were playing in, not games room. What's the one that's, is it Party? I believe the one that's right off of the garage, the second room. You have that main room, and then the one that's got like the fucking confetti and shit in it, right next to Bull.
By like Kayak? Oh no, on Outback. Sorry, yeah, Party room.
Yeah. Okay. So on Party room, so we were playing that site, and I set up 3 shields. I'm not even shitting you, Flynn. I set up all 3 shields inside of games room. I set up one on the opposite door, one in the middle of games, and then one on my other door, and I played the far one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because obviously a lot of people like to clear from that side. This chick comes up and starts like trying to shoot me over the fucking thing. Well, she stuns over. And right when she stuns over, I already had it lined up because of the new shields. As you know, you can see through them.
Yep.
I already had the gas tank lined up. So literally I just like looked as I heard the stun coming over. And right when it went off, I just stood up and one tapped the fucking gas tank, killed her instantaneously.
Yep.
So like his ability in each one of those fires lasts, what, 10 seconds?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's the same length as Captable.
Yeah. So you can literally hold back an entire fucking team for 30 seconds with fallback. It's actually ridiculous. You stack smoke on top of that. We're at fucking 45 plus. We're at 1 minute and 15 seconds. Like that is ridiculous, dude. Like Goyo is really good at being able to keep them away from the actual site. You don't want to use them like directly on a site door because then all it takes is someone to blow that up and you don't have a rotate. So I think that they're a lot better with placing in rooms offsite that you still want control of, but you don't need to have. More or less throwing a wrench, or I'm going to stop saying throwing a wrench. I said that all weekend. Being a thorn in their side, basically, with the shields instead. I think it's a really, really good way of using them.
Second part of that question was pilot program skins. I love a lot of them. And obviously the pilot program is amazing. Of course, there were orgs like TSM, like Rec, like Secret that didn't get in, and like Luminosity. But I mean, at the end of the day, they only took 16. Some teams made applications and didn't get in, and some teams just were late to the party, like TSM and LG. So maybe they'll come around next time. As far as the actual skins and the actual teams that were released, I love it. I love it all. I'm gonna buy them all, and I don't really care how much money it costs. Probably around $100 just to get them all. And yeah, I'm perfectly comfortable contributing to the prize pool for Six Invitational, and contributing to the players and the organizations, because yeah, it's a great program all around, man. I love the pilot program. I'm so happy they're doing stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
I
think the skins are awesome. Best one's Sledge, by the way. Sledge or Echo.
G2 one, yeah. The Echo one for SSG is also fucking filthy.
Too bad Echo gets banned literally all the time. LMALXD.
Next up, Smoothie AK, who is also Woolly Ponchos, so welcome back. My only question this week is, what do you think about Parker's opinion on T2 NA teams and how they make NA worse as a whole? I'm sure you've seen the clip by now, watched it live. But if you haven't, he basically says they don't take scrims / the game seriously and tend to just be 5 stacks of rank gunners that have no real support players on their teams. As a support player in T2 of NA right now, I can tell you that, yeah, that's kind of accurate. Nothing Parker said about NA was wrong. We've scrimmed a lot of teams, and a lot of them sandbag in scrims. A lot of them just don't play the way they do, especially after a map or two when things start to get tired. Sorry. There's a lot of teams out there in Tier 2 of NA that really just, they don't take scrims seriously, or they don't, I don't know, they don't play the way they do on game day. You know, we've had a lot of situations where we're less familiar with the team that we scrim. We jump in, and 1 round in, we already go, oh, it's going to be like this. Because we got people jumping at every fucking window, we got people running around with their heads cut off, and it's like, we've played you on game day before, man, you don't do any of this shit. Play like you're gonna play on game day, or stop wasting our fucking time. Because there's been a lot of scrims like that lately, actually, with a lot of different teams, and it's been pretty tiresome as of late to try and find a scrim that's beneficial for us, and really one that's been challenging. And I don't mean to say that as sounding cocky. That's just kind of the nature of North America right now. We've scrimmed pro teams that will sandbag in scrims as well in North America, so don't think that this just extends to teams trying to make it into Challenger League or already in Challenger League right now. We have played multiple pro teams that will just kind of run around with their head cut off in the scrim, and some teams have gotten better about it. I'm not going to say who, but one pro team we scrimmed really just kind of played it like ranked for the first game, for the first map, and we beat them pretty handedly, and then maps 2, 3, 4, and 5, they really they picked up their shit and started actually treating us with respect and stuff. So I don't know, it's one of those situations where NA has this, I don't know, NA has this culture of you have to be in the club to be respected in a scrim, and it's really irritating to try and break through that barrier, especially as a newer team. When Chase and I first built this roster, getting any kind of respect, especially as a caster who plays, you don't know how often I get underestimated and how my team gets underestimated because I'm on the roster. You don't know how many scrims we've gone into against very good teams where they think, oh, it's just Flynn. Oh, it's just a caster. Look at this fucking scrub trying to put together a team. Like, dude, we've put up enough numbers that you probably should respect us, and if you want to keep doubting us, then that's fine. I'm not going to complain, but scrims lately have been very difficult to try and find anything of substance unless it's against a pro team that knows us. And if you don't know people, it's difficult to find scrims because there's a lot of teams out there in Tier 2 of North America that will ego the fuck out of you.
Oh, yeah.
For scrims, for practice, for anything.
All because they don't know you, dude.
Exactly. So I think Parker was dead on with a lot of the shit he said. I was very impressed at the lack of backlash from what Parker said, because I know if I had come out and said any of that, the response would not have been the same. So props to Parker for shining a light on that. And yeah, I don't disagree with basically anything that he said. I think NA has a very egocentric culture right now, and that's got to change if the scene's going to improve. And I will give props to other pro teams out there that haven't treated us like shit in a scrim before. So if you're listening, you know who you are. If you're one of the teams that didn't respect us, you also know who you are. Not
you
here
to say it.
I'm not here to say names. I'm not here.
You can hold his dick. That's what you can do. I got you.
I'm not here to say names. I'm not here to cause drama. But if you're one of those teams out there, maybe take a look in at yourself and say, hey, yeah, maybe they might be below us in terms of skill level. But at the end of the day, we can put up a damn good fight if you treat us with respect and actually play the game the way you will on game day. Because there have been a lot of instances in which that there's been a lot of teams with some serious motherfucking scrim energy. And none of that comes out on game day. So, moving on. Don't want to bog up the whole podcast with that, but I did want to say my piece on that. Canadian Milk Bag. Hey guys, it was great to meet you guys. Great to meet you too. Hope you got properly fucked up on Sunday. Can confirm, got absolutely fucking destroyed on Sunday.
Can confirm.
Holy
also
fuck.
Destroyed myself.
Dude, the after party was
What's the
fucking
opposite of
incredible.
sober?
It's drunk.
Yes.
Yes, there you go. This was the best after party I've ever been to for an event.
Which
1,000%.
sucks because I didn't go.
You didn't go?
Flynn, you always see me at the after party. Did you see me at the after party?
No, I didn't. I thought you were with other people.
Because I wasn't there.
Oh. Okay. You're an idiot. That was the best after party I've ever been to. Also, shout out to that guy. Never got your name. Oh, you know what? I should tell this story in better detail.
But let me tell them 1 second about why I wasn't there, because I'm fucking wondering why. Okay, so I had a bunch of people that went. Flynn knows most of my friends because they're also somewhat mutual friends with Flynn now. Well, half of them are, because he knows Nick and he knows Mason and a couple of my other friends. But basically, they went and got a B&B, and I really hadn't seen them that much that week. I really only saw them like one night. So the final night that we were there, I chose to go over to the B&B and hang out with all of my friends because they spent the money to come out to see me do my job. And I think that they deserved that. So that's what I went out and did.
All right. So for the after party, I'm not going to give explicit details as to how our security works for after parties because I don't want to leak that. Unlike some local news channel in Raleigh that decided to the day before our main stage event. You know who you are. So basically, to get into the after party, you have to have certain credentials. And it's locked down pretty heavily by security. And your name is on a list, you have to get in. That's to the extent of what I'll say. So we're in line. I'm with like Ratalia, Meligeni, Avian, and I think that was like it that I was talking to there in the line. And we're in line outside trying to get into the bar. We had just shown up. And this random dude comes up to me while I'm standing in line, and he seems pretty drunk. Like, he seems like he's already had a fun night. And it's like 9:30 at night. So this dude's pretty fucking gone. Pretty early as well. Oh no, it was like 10:30. We got there a little late. So this guy walks up to us, and he's like, hey, I'm from out of town. Or I just moved here. Is this a good bar? And we're like, I don't know. We're all from out of town, too. And he's like, wait, you're all from out of town? Where are you guys from? And I was like, well, I'm from Toronto, and John's from here, and Ratalia and Meligeni are from Brazil. And he's like, wait, why are you guys all in Raleigh? So we're like, well, we worked the Rainbow Six event down the road at the convention center. And he's like, yeah, I have no idea what the fuck that is. And I was like, okay, cool, dude, cool. Is there a reason you're in this line? And he's like, well, this looks like a good bar. If you guys from out of town are all going to it. And I was like, well, yeah, the company we work for bought it out for the night. And he's like, what do you mean they bought it out? I can't go in? And I was like, well, you see that security dude over there, that 6'6" giant that will punt you into the middle of the road if you're not on the list? Yeah, that guy. That's what's stopping you from getting into the bar. And he's like, oh, well, I'm gonna try anyway. What's the worst that can happen? He says no. And I was like, fuck it, dude. All right. I mean, this is gonna be really fucking awkward when I walk in and you don't, but have fun. So we get through the line, we get in, show him our credentials, check the name off the list, walk in. I turn around, and that guy made it in. Not sure how. Not sure how the fuck he got in. But he got in. So I immediately turned around and I walked up to that guy and I was like, this was the best fucking mistake you've ever made in your life. We're going to have so much fun. I was so ready for this to be the best story of all time. I was ready to make this a scene straight out of How I Met Your Mother, where this dude just becomes my best friend. So we get in, we go upstairs, and I'm like, dude, drinks are free. Let's walk up and grab some drinks. And he's like, yeah, let's get it. So I grab my drink and I walk over to Blue and Veli, and I'm with Avian as well. So the five of us are all standing in a circle, And, you know, that guy is obviously asking a lot of questions and stuff and being really fucking annoying. And I was like, oh, this is going south really quickly. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go talk to Zoronic then because he's across the room. And they're starting to set up food. So I'm kind of hungry as well. And I'm like, you know what? That guy, you're kind of a letdown right now. You're not just like joining into the party. You're just kind of being annoying, asking all these questions. So I'm going to walk away for a minute and I'm going to go away. And this is just secondhand from John, and Lavelle, obviously. So Veli, Avian, and Blue. They all come over later and they're like, yeah, that guy needs to go. And we're like, why? That guy seems all right. I'm sure he'll calm down after a few drinks. And Blue is just like, yeah, no, he's being really racist. And I'm like, what do you mean he's being really racist? And he's like, well, he called the Brazilians a bunch of black guys. And then he walked up to the Norengo table and started like talking about like school shootings with their translator. So I walked over to Stuart, the guy you saw on the panel talking about the eSports portion. That's our boss at Ubisoft. And I walked over to Stuart and I'm like, Stuart, I thought tonight was going to be amazing. I thought tonight was going to be a story to go down in the record books. But unfortunately, I'm going to need you to get security and eject that guy. And he's like, who is that guy? And I said, I don't fucking know. I need you to get rid of him. And he's like, why? And I'm like, well, apparently he's being super fucking racist, and he doesn't have credentials to be here. And Stuart's just like, oh, that's fun. So security ejected him in like 5 minutes, and that was the ending of the that guy saga. But shout out to that guy. You were cool for about 5 minutes, and then things got really fucking bad really quickly. So yeah. That was the party at the after story, and that's how. And then I just got completely fucked up. I don't even remember half the night. It was a good time though. So anyway,
shout out to that guy, dude.
Shout out to that guy. And then Space Station, the org like Twitter account, responded and was like, "Yo, rip that guy."
I love those dudes, man.
I love Space Station guys, dude. Oh, did you see my tweet? I quoted Leon's picture, and I was like me looking at the guy on Uber Eats on my phone.
Dude, yeah, because I did, because I fucking tweeted under it and I said this tweet's underrated.
Yeah, so the COO of SSG DM'd me, and he's like, yeah, I'm sending that to Uber Eats. That's hilarious, because Uber Eats is an SSG sponsor. So someone somewhere at Uber Eats saw that tweet.
COO, is it Unit?
No, it was a different guy.
Unit's the homie, by the way, for SSG.
Unit is the homie, dude. All the SSG guys are super dope. I didn't get to talk to Sean Duras this time. I talked to him at SI for a minute, but I didn't get to talk to him this time. I saw him walking around and stuff, but it seemed like he was pretty busy doing like media and stuff. Like they were doing the whole like rock paper scissors contest for the SSG like spacesuits. That was really cool too. But yeah, all the SSG guys are great. I love SSG as an org and as a team. So the first question for Canadian Milkbag, because I didn't actually say his questions yet, because I was talking about that guy.
Holy shit. It's going to be a long night.
It's going to be a long night. The second part of your question, because the first part was already answered. If you could import any player from any region to any one team from another region, who would it be? Thanks again, guys. Love the casting in the major. Thank you very much, Canadian Milkbag. If I could import any player from any region to any team around the world, and not including communication issues, because that would be really hilarious and really kind of throw a big wrench in the plan. Even though I have two answers. One would have communication issues, one wouldn't. My first answer would probably be Pengu to Space Station, because just make it a 5-man smoke main team. Why the fuck not? And then the other one would probably be Astro to Rec. Just make it a full gunner stack at this point. I think Astro on Rec would be hilarious.
Dude, put Nesk on Rec.
Exactly. Just fucking lean in. Yeah, those would be my two.
Nesk playing G36C all the way from fucking Narnia, because that's all he ever does. Literally, the complete reason, guys, that I'm an Ash Jaeger main is because of Nesk, if you didn't know. The entire reason that I'm good at Ash and Jaeger is because of Nesk. I watched his videos so often, and when I took my ACOG off the R4C, I cried. Anyways.
Do you have any answer to that question?
That's it. Nesk to Rec, dude. 100%.
Nesk to Rec. All right. Next up, from Jakov, 16. What the hell happened to NA and Raleigh? They died. With the exception of TSM and SSG, who at least met expectations. Yeah, those two were a bright spot. Much love from Australia. Much love to Australia. I'd love to do an event in Australia.
Same.
What happened to NA? Dude, they just choked. I don't think there's really anything else you could say. I thought Rogue looked in form after Valencia, and they did pretty well online in Pro League comparison to last season. For Dark Zero, man, they got to get over the LAN shakes. They shake on LAN so hard, and it's so disappointing because they are such a good team online. They have not had LAN results, and they haven't had a lot of LAN experience, so I think give that roster some time on LAN, and over the course of the next year, they should get better, but immediate upside for Dark Zero is not looking great. For EG, huge disappointment, man. They just kind of fell apart. They did not look like EG. It looked like they got manhandled by two teams that they should have known pretty well. I mean, they played the Giants when they were Lestream at SI, and they looked like they fucking cleaned their clock. And then they've played Space Station so many goddamn times, and again, SSG cleaned their clock. And for EG to show up that poorly, man, that's internal. That's a problem with themselves. That's not the group. And I know they've had a hard group, or they had a hard group in Raleigh, and they've had hard groups before, but dude, that was quite a shocking letdown from Evil Geniuses.
It really was, dude. I was very disappointed by it. But hey, live and learn. Then again, NA's mentality just needs to change, and I'll have to see what happens, man. Game's still young, so.
Next up from Night Swipe, pleasure meeting you both. Pleasure meeting you too. With Goyo and Amaru having weapons already in the game, do you think giving low-picked operators better weapons would increase pick rates? Maybe in ranked, not so much in Pro League. A lot of Pro League and like competitive decisions are based on utility, not guns. Like, dude, I wouldn't play Smoke if I didn't have to. The SMG-11 is fine, but like, I'd much rather play something like Mozzie or Vigil or Jaeger or something with a better gun. I have to play Smoke because you need the utility. Like, that's just kind of what it is.
Yep. Like people complaining about the Chump 45.
Yeah, and speaking of, give Castle an SMG-11 so he could run M1014 primary and SMG-11 secondary or something like that.
Stop.
Dude, that's
Stop.
Again, Castle is very situational, and a lot of the decisions, again, they come down to utility more than guns. Also, do you think making Fuse a 2-2 would make him viable enough to see an increase in pick rate in high-level ranked in Pro League? In ranked, again, I think actually... Okay, in ranked, yes. I think just having mobility and being able to play on your own like that, with a good weapon, I think, of course, no matter what, ranked will always lend itself to selfish picks and individual utility, no matter what. And that's why I said Amaru would be a good ranked player or a good ranked operator, but not so much in competitive. For Fuse, though, we've already seen a 1-3 operator in Gridlock get a fuck ton of play in competitive. And that's kind of where my old argument of make Fuse a 2-2 fell apart. Because I used to believe as well that Fuse's issue was somewhat utility, but also somewhat movement. He's just a slow, chunky motherfucker. Unfortunately, Gridlock has really dispelled a lot of that assertion for me that it's his mobility and not his utility. On the TTS right now, his cluster charges have been sped up, so the animation of putting them down is a little bit quicker. At the end of the day, though, they're super loud. It's super obvious it's coming. And for a lot of these players, especially in competitive, even in the middle of one of our games tonight, in the middle of CL quals, we were saying, we were on Coastline and we were defending against a team that was bringing a lot of breaching charges for vertical destruction. And we were saying, listen, if you hear that, just rip a fucking nitro. And the breaching charge animation is so much faster than the cluster charge, and it's a lot quieter. It's a lot more subtle, especially when comms get hectic. And we picked like 2 people off those nitros. So at the end of the day, you hear anything going down like that where you have to remain stationary, there's a pretty easy counter. You can also just shoot up at the damn thing and stop it as soon as it goes off for one puck. So I think at the end of the day, Fuse's utility is also, it's angled, like it's intended for lethality. It's intended to kill people. But in all reality, in all actual practice in competitive, usually it just ends up clearing a lot of utility. And there is value in that, don't get me wrong. I'd love to be able to just fucking walk upstairs and fucking on coastline and just drop a cluster charge down and get rid of all the ADSs or all the barbed wire or all the deployable shields and all that shit, or bulletproofs or evil eyes or anything like that. But at the end of the day, you're sacrificing a lot to bring that, where you can accomplish that with other utility, with operators that also contribute in other ways. So like Zofia is a big utility removal operator, but she also brings stuns. She also brings the impacts. She has a claymore, and smoke plants have really fallen by the wayside. So yeah, I don't see making Fuse a 2-2 having much effect. I think it really comes down to his utility deployment, and if there was any operator I would rework to make more competitively viable right now, it would be Fuse. Just, I don't know, maybe you speed up the animation even more, but then you have questions about whether or not 5 death pucks raining from the air in half a second is balanced, and I don't know. It's a tough one. Any contradictions there, Samuel?
No, I completely agree with you. I think that inside of ranked, he'd get a lot of play if he was 2 armor, 2 speed, because his gun literally has one of the fastest TTKs in the entire game. But besides that, no, because again, it's a massive clunky sound when you put it down, and unless you make it light speed, someone's going to shoot it.
All right, on to the next one. Eternal Life. Loved you guys in Raleigh and found this podcast. Well, welcome in. Thank you for listening, and thank you for enjoying. Number 1, what was each of your most intense matches to cast? Doesn't have to be in Raleigh. Most intense match I've ever casted.
Oh, pissed me off though, but you want time to think?
Yeah, go for it.
Liquid versus Mock at 6 Invitational.
That's fair.
Went all the way down to the wire, and fucking Sexy Cake hits a nice triple with smoke that I fucking screeched over, dude.
I think my most intense match I've ever casted was C9 against Mocket at DreamHack Montreal.
I watched that game.
A lot of those C9 games at DreamHack Montreal came down to the fucking wire, and those were intense ass matches.
If they were a circus, they'd be intense.
Go fuck yourself. I think if I had to pick a recent one from 2019, I'm trying to think back to a couple like Pro League games that I casted, but it's online. It's BO1s.
Where you're on the edge of your seat. Yeah, shut the fuck up.
There were moments. Don't get me wrong. There were games, but it's not the same as a BO3 with a live crowd and all that shit. Yeah, I don't actually know. I think those C9 Maki games are some of the most intense ones, especially, and they stand out to me just because DreamHack Montreal was my first ESL event. So a lot of those games really stand out to me, versus like Pro League matches. You could say I casted a game and I wouldn't remember it. Like a lot of the games lately have just been blending into each other. Like I even forgot that I casted a Space Station game in Raleigh like 2 days after I did it.
Well, dude, here's the other. Excuse me. Here's the other thing.
You're
a
in
lot
Narnia.
of those things. Yeah. I raised my sound gate because TJ's playing. So anyways, games that don't have something major inside of them are easily forgettable. When it's just another game in the Siege, it's just another game of Siege, dude. Like, I know that I played Clubhouse today. I cannot tell you who I played against or what sites we played or what ops I played, but I know I played a Clubhouse game. Like,
Yeah.
When you spend as much time inside of Siege and on Siege as you and I do, you know, it's kind of hard to remember games that are forgettable, you know?
How would Nook and Warden fit into pro strategies, if at all? Warden, I think I'm really on the boat with Parker on this one. Give him a fucking P90 ACOG and let him anchor, because the MPX is garbage on site. Nook, again, selfish utility. Like, it works for flanks. Like, I'm really thinking about, like, Consulate right now. If you're defending Garage and there's a lot of, like, wall pressure, and suddenly there's like you got a dead guy on cams watching for a locker's push, and all of a sudden someone in sight fucking dies because a Nook walks in. It's gonna be infuriating, but her weapons are pretty subpar. Her utility is very selfish and doesn't lend itself to a lot of team play. I'm sure I'm sure it'll be situational, and I'm sure there will be instances in which she does get picked and brought into play, but I don't know. It's one of those utilities where it's like, I understand what it does, I understand how it could trip up a team, but we also thought the same thing about Vigil, about being invisible to drones would be ridiculously overpowered, and yet eh.
He's still fun as shit to play, though.
He's a great operator, but
I
a
love him.
lot of Vigil play comes down to, like, kind of deceiving your opponents, like today, again, in the CL
You have to be
calls.
intelligent. You really have to have like extremely good game sense to make, especially Nook. But in order to make Vigil work, you have to have really good game sense. You have to understand how sound works and what you're doing and how his gadget works down to a T. It takes a really long time. Like I have fucking across Xbox as well as uh, on PC. I have across probably like 200 to 300 hours with Vigil. I have a decent KD with him, but like truly understanding what you're doing and how you need to move and everything else. Because the beauty of Nook is that she has something that Vigil doesn't. Not only does she get taken away from cams and everything else, but she has a sound suppressant. Vigil does not, which means when you sprint, you're loud as shit. When you walk, you're still loud. When you crouch, they can still hear it. With Nook, it's not that way. It's Vigil on offense, but she has a sound suppressor and worse guns. Complete honesty, dude. If you want to make her that, fine. Give her the fucking K1A, dude. If she had the K1A, I would rock people off the fucking planet, dude, with Nook. I would. She'd be such a good operator. But the FMG9 is underpowered, and the Desert Eagle's not reliable enough to use as a primary weapon.
Yeah, I think with Vigil, it comes down to he's a fragger, because the K1A is so good, and you have an automatic secondary to swap to if you get into trouble, so I don't know. He lends towards fragging ability, and that's kind of a situation where you can pick an operator for gun, and the utility helps a little bit in being a little bit sneakier, but you don't have that same kind of effect with Nook, just because her guns aren't as strong. And on defense, you're evading a lot of drones. On defense, you can just shoot a lot of cameras. Or sorry, on attack, you can just shoot a lot of cameras. And yeah, you can shoot drones, but they're a lot harder and they're not stationary. Like, drones move, cams don't. I don't know. From Alex, how disappointed? Oh, also, sup fucker. How disappointed were you in NA, APAC, and LATAM in brackets LUL, but specifically EG? I was very disappointed in EG. In all of those three regions, like I said, very disappointed. I think there were a lot of high expectations, and I even gave an interview for Ubisoft heading in, or on the first day of main stage, saying, you know, this event still seems wide open. This event, you know, it looks like anyone can truly win it, and I don't think there's a lot of, like, there's obviously a group of favorites, but it's not like one team's going to walk in and destroy everyone, and you know, Empire had their struggles getting to the finals, and even had their struggles in games against G2 in the finals, and it kind of came down to two teams. As soon as we knew the semifinal matchups, we said, yeah, it's going to be G2 Empire again. And I don't know, there wasn't a whole lot of fighting the dynasty that was going on. We just kind of went from a G2 dynasty kind of cooling off, and the Empire dynasty kind of heating up. In your own personal opinion, what was the issue with EG, Fnatic, and Dark Zero? Kind of touched on all of them, so I'm just going to move on, unless you had any thoughts, Sam.
I didn't have any thoughts, dude.
All right. What are your thoughts on the Canal rework? Oh, fucking goddamn, it's amazing.
It's so good,
Straight
dude.
into Pro League, please. Straight into Pro League, please.
Dude.
Replace Border.
Fucking touch me.
Replace Border or Coast right now with Canal. Do it right now.
I will literally kiss Stewart's.
Do it right now. It's fucking incredible. I'm so happy. Canal was one of my favorite maps back in the day, and Jeremy did such a fucking good job with it. Dude, I fucking love it.
It's so good.
What would your Raleigh Major All-Star team in your first split of Season 10 All-Star team be? First split of Season 10 All-Star team? I'm probably just going to pick this all on surprise characters, because obviously there's people that still play well, and you know, that's the norm. But I think if there's like 5 surprise players I've really been impressed with in the first split of North American Pro League, and this obviously isn't including APAC, because I don't watch APAC Pro League games because it's a mess to try and watch all 4 subregions. I'd probably do Muzi from NIP. I would do VNX from INTZ, even though VNX was incredible last season on Red Devils. I would do Fultz from SSG. I would do Corey from the Giants, and I'd probably do Mark as well from TSM. I think the Fultz and Mark pickups have both slowly gotten better over time. They've become accustomed to the level of play that they need to be performing at, and they've gotten better over their games. I obviously also just listed a bunch of players from Raleigh, because if you're doing well in Pro League, you're probably going to Raleigh. I think actually, you know what? I'll drop VNX because he's not as much of a surprise, but Muzi has definitely picked up his play compared to last season when he came in. I'll put in Pasha for the Raleigh one, but keep a lot of those the same. I think Bolo as well for the Raleigh one. But yeah, it's they're very similar lists. I think Uno did incredibly well in Raleigh as well. I think he really picked up his play and improved a lot of doubters wrong. Yeah. Sam?
I want you to ask me how many game days I watched in the first half of season 10.
How many game days have you watched in the first half of season 10, Sam?
I've watched one.
Yeah. That's how she goes.
You wanna know why?
I mean, you've also been working, and I haven't.
Because I work USN,
Yep.
which has nothing to do with Pro League.
Yep.
Also, if I watch Pro League, as Flynn knows, it will completely fuck my sleeping schedule. So,
Oh yeah, you don't have time. You just don't have time with that sleep schedule.
So complete honesty, I would say Fultz. Like that's my.
There you go.
Again, I think that he's been doing very well. So.
Okay, on to the saltiest person in North America. What were your favorite matches to watch and cast? I'm assuming this means Raleigh, because it's a Raleigh Wrapup episode. And what do you think happened to G2 during the final, and how wasted did you get after your last day of casting? Answered part 3. What happened to G2 is they played a damn close match, and it came down to little mistakes, and Empire capitalized. It was a very, very close game. All 4 maps were close. The last map, obviously, it kind of grinded to an Empire dominant victory.
G2 broke.
Yeah, it looked like they broke. And for a lot of that, I mean, eventually it was going to happen. Like, there's never going to be a team that just dominates everyone forever. G2, I don't know. They just, I don't know. Just like Empire, we're finally capitalizing, and I think their experience of playing them before really helped. And it was also the first time Empire had ever taken a map off of G2 in map 1. So I think that really fueled them. That really fueled the fire and the belief for all of Empire that, hey, we can actually do this. What were your favorite matches to watch and cast? I think to watch was probably Secret Empire. I think that was my favorite game to watch. That was a very, very good game. Or the finals. Either one of those two. Favorite game to cast? I'd actually have to go back and find a game. I think Force Phase was also like a little annoying. Just because Force really had Phase on the ropes for a lot of those maps and just kind of slowly let them back in. I don't know. Let me bring this up real quick and try and find one that I really liked. I gotta find all the group. So here we go. Didn't do any of Group C. That's funny. Group D I did a lot of. Secret Rogue, the first day as well. That was a very fun game to cast. Very close game, back and forth. G2 Secret wasn't like the best game, but it was a fun game to cast nonetheless. And I didn't do any of Group A either. That can't be right. Didn't do Empire TSM, didn't do MIBR. Didn't do Empire MIBR. Didn't do TSM. I didn't do any of Group A or Group C in group stage, apparently.
Well then.
I may be forgetting again. Oh, no, I did one. I did SSG against the Giants, I believe. Border Coast? Did I do this game? I might have done it. I actually can't even remember. But I know I didn't cast NIP, and I know I didn't cast EG. So it had to have been SSG Giants. That also was an iffy game, if I remember correctly, which I don't. So that's my answer, I guess. Sorry, I don't remember. It was a pretty big letdown in terms of games.
What was the question again?
What were your favorite matches to watch and cast the major?
I think the funniest one to fucking cast was Norango MIBR.
Yeah.
That shit was a fucking meme, dude. Oh my god. All right. Yeah, that's all I have, dude. That and the
There
Team
you go.
Secret game. Because the Team Secret game, like, That
Yeah.
was right out the gate. The first round, Joystick gets a 3K, and I'm like, okay, boys, here we fucking go. Like,
Alrighty, moving on. It's not Duffman89. You also have a question about changing fuse. I am going to skip it, but I will say your idea is kind of overpowered. On to part 2. In the history of Siege eSports, what roster move do you believe had the most impact on the scene? Is it too cliche to say we haven't seen it yet?
no, it's not, because I'm going to agree with you 100% that we haven't had a fucking like earth-shattering move to somewhere else that's just made a team actually be relevant.
I think as soon as we start opening the floodgates for interregional transfers, that's when things break wide open. I think
Everyone goes to NA because they make a lot of money.
I think, and honestly, this is gonna sound kind of mean, and people might not like it. But
And it's going to get clipped.
It's gonna get clipped.
It's going to get posted.
I think one of the strongest roster moves ever made in North America was dropping Goddess for Skies for Reciprocity / Cloud9. Because that turned that team from a basement team into a contender overnight.
Yeah.
I think if we go back even further, trying to think way back in the day. Yeah, I'm having trouble like finding another one that really kind of like upended a team overnight like that. There haven't really been many roster moves like slowly over time. I think honestly, if you look at TSM, the pair of moves they made, Bolo and Merc coming in, and if you tag on like the the Crusher change as well for Pojo. So I mean, there's a lot involved with that and the TSM roster in general, and they kind of rebuilt the entire roster. But at the end of the day, I think TSM, that double change at once was also a pretty big shakeup, and it hasn't changed them overnight in terms of online play, but in terms of offline play, that definitely was a difference maker and affected things overnight. What the fuck in the world did you just send me? All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the segment of the podcast where Sam gets bored, goes on Twitter, and sends me some dumb shit. So I'm going to try and describe this for you because
It was literally, okay, before anything else, I don't follow this account. This is on my TL because of likes, and I am terrified.
I'm pretty terrified too. So I'm going to try and describe this GIF for you on Twitter, and the only caption for the GIF is "Circle of Life" in all caps. So it's an animated GIF, and it's a very, very like gigantic sumo wrestling woman.
No, it's Kim Jong-un, I'm pretty sure. Look at the face.
It could be.
With
And I
the
mean,
haircut,
when I
think so.
say giant, I mean like 50 feet tall.
Click it. It's Kim Jong-un carrying a baby version of Donald Trump with like two like tentacle things with Hillary Clinton's head.
Oh, I didn't even spot that. Yeah.
What the? Dude,
Okay,
what is
yeah.
this?
You know what? You already explained it better than I could. I'm just gonna get out of there.
What is on my timeline?
I don't know, but I'm getting the fuck out of there really quick and going back to the questions, because yeah.
Somebody retweeted this. It wasn't on there because of likes. What the fuck is going on?
Moving on. Why were SSG so dominant in the group stages of Raleigh, but they seem to lose their mojo on the main stage against Secret? I think one of the biggest proponents for Team Secret is they're very spontaneous, and they don't do a lot of the same thing twice. Versus Space Station, who do run a lot of the same things over and over again. They do tend to get a little repetitive, and teams start to read that, and they also like to play against teams that are like themselves. You know, they like teams that run the same strat over and over again. They like teams that run the same site rotation over and over again. Secret are very spontaneous, and they can catch a lot of teams off guard. And that's a lot of what I was seeing in Raleigh from Team Secret as well, was catching teams off guard, sending Farrell in to make just the dumbest play of all time. But hey, it's kind of what they do, and it's what they built their niche on, even before they got relegated. I think Team Secret is really good at reading setups and finding a hole instead of attacking something directly. They're very good on the offensive set where they will find a flaw in a setup, because every setup has a flaw. Don't think that there's any setups there on a site or on map that are perfect. There will always be a hole, and it'll be up to the defending team to react to that if it's being exploited. But Secret are very good at finding that one vulnerability that you've left in your setup, exploiting it while fighting you head on. And Space Station got caught up in a lot of crossfires, a lot of two-front attacks coming from Secret that really tripped up Space Station. So I think for Team Secret, they finally found an opponent that was very, very strong at their own game, but very, very weak at playing the game that Secret likes to play. And that's kind of where it fell apart for Space Station. It wasn't so much Space Station losing, it was Secret winning, and SSG just failing to adapt, and that'll happen. I think if it breaks down a different way and Space Station end up playing G2, who are very adaptable but will still run the same kind of setup over again, especially if you look back to that game against G2 for Space Station at SI in the quarterfinals, I think really it's a little bit of that story coming through again, where G2 were able to adapt on the fly a little bit better than SSG was, but I think also losing Redeemer as a calming presence on the team as well kind of screwed with their ability to adapt as well as they used to be able to. At SI, SSG were much, much closer against G2 with Redeemer on the roster than they were against Secret here in Raleigh, and I think they need a more vocal presence on the team. And whether that's someone else that's already on the roster stepping up and being more of a vocal leader in the room and kind of, I don't know, directing pace and directing changes on the fly, or if it's making a roster change. I don't know what I'm not clairvoyant. I don't know everything, but it really did look like SSG were just trying to run the same thing with the same execution, and Secret, no matter what the small change was, they would always find a vulnerability, and Space Station weren't willing to scrap the whole idea and bring up, Strat 2A, Strat 2B, Strat 2C. It seems like Secret really had their way with Space Station simply because the adaptability wasn't there from Space Station. Anything to add, Samuel?
Nah, you hit it
Okay.
on the head.
All right, bought it out. I know it's almost beating a dead horse, but are there rumblings of any other teams getting in on the pilot program? It's circulated there are 14 skins, but 16 spots available. I'm hoping for Dark Zero and Team Secret, but I don't think that is anymore. Is a pipe dream. Confusing last sentence. So for right now, pilot program's done. It's done. There's no more teams. For right now, as far as I'm aware and as far as I've been told, there will not be another run of the pilot program in terms of new teams getting in until next year. Whether that's 6 Invitational or the next major, I don't know. So it could be only 6 months away. I don't know. But as far as I know, 2019 is done. There were cases like last year where Penta got in late, and there might be a couple other spots that Ubisoft just is keeping open. I don't know. I'm not involved in these kind of conversations when it comes down to the pilot program. If I had to completely speculate, I would say Dark Zero would have a much better chance at getting in than Team Secret, and obviously some of the Team Secret teams already tweeted that they did not get in. Dark Zero really hasn't really made a public statement about it yet, so I think Dark Zero would have a better chance at getting one of those spots, but I see Ubisoft kind of moving on right now, and looking ahead to SI as their focus, and the next season coming out as their next focus. I don't think pilot program, now that it's been a mess for about a year, honestly, it kept getting delayed, and finally it's out. So I think they're happy with where they stand. I don't foresee them really adding teams late, but there is precedent for it with Penta last year, so you never know. I don't know if this is supposed to say Matt, as in like Matt Black, or literally you just want me to say M4773, but I said either. Or both, sorry. Would you like to see more DMRs in competitive? More like diversity between guns? And what would you do to buff them? Well, I think the 417 got a good buff with the mag size. That was always my biggest complaint with the 417. But I think if you look at a lot of DMRs, the biggest issue is, in this game, there's a lot of spraying. There's a lot of uncontrolled, well, not really uncontrolled, but a lot of, spraying through walls at things to try and open up angles. There's a lot of spraying in general directions because all it takes is one bullet to hit the head. There's a very common saying in Siege where it's rate of fire is king. And that's because if you can send as many bullets downrange at a target towards their head as possible in the shortest amount of time, you have a better chance of winning.
Mm-hmm.
So in a game like a one-shot headshot game, DMRs obviously favor extreme precision, but you don't always in a competitive match have the time for that kind of extreme precision. You kind of just take what you can get. And a lot of players out there will absolutely take an automatic weapon, even if it's not the best automatic weapon. Example, Lion, the V308 versus the 417. They'll take an automatic weapon for the chance of that continuous fire maybe hitting a head, versus a 417 where you really have to tap fire, and because they locked the rate of fire on DMRs. If you didn't know, about a year and a half ago to 2 years ago, I think this was around the Blood Orchid patch, which was year 2, season 3. For anyone who's unaware, you used to be, before that anyway, you used to be able to fire a DMR as fast as you could click. There was no cap on a fire rate, and obviously a lot of people abused this with macros, and it became an issue, so they internally locked the fire rate of DMRs. And there are a lot of people out there who can click faster than that fire rate, and it kind of screws you up. So
because pistols are they're capped, but they're capped higher. So
yes, pistols are capped a lot higher versus DMRs.
Which I think they need to cap DMRs a lot higher, to be honest, because it shoots pretty slow.
DMRs do shoot pretty slow with the internal cap. So yeah, that's kind of the thing with DMRs right now. I don't think they're viable in a competitive setting. I don't think they're viable as well. As you look at the comparisons for a lot of the DMRs versus like Twitch, for example, you're not dropping the F2 for a 417. I don't care how much ammunition they put in a magazine. You could have a fucking box magazine like the Alda on that thing. You're not dropping the F2 for that. Again, Lion V308 versus the 417. That's never gonna happen. The MK14 versus the Boss G always wins out because it's a fucking Boss G, but you'll see a lot of players use the MK14 for long angles and then immediately swap to either the CZ75 or the SMG12. Other DMRs, I mean, Glaz obviously has to use a DMR because it's his fucking primary and his only primary weapon he's allowed. I'm sure I'm blanking on another. I could have swore there was another DMR out there that I'm just forgetting. I thought there were 3 DMRs, the 417, the MK14, and not the OTS, because that's Glaz. Is there a third DMR that I'm just blanking on here, Sam?
Is there a third DMR? What are you talking about?
Outside of the 417 and the MK14. I could have swore for some idiotic reason there were 3. Oh, the cameras on Buck. That's what it was. The cameras.
Yep. Yeah, that thing's a fucking fire, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking forest fire.
Yeah, it's not very good. Very low hitting. Yeah.
Also, Glaz has a DMR XD.
Yeah, I said that. The OTS 03. Moving on though, I don't think DMRs are going to be very viable just because in Siege the nature is rate of fire is king, and DMRs have a very low rate of fire. Diabetic Beer, welcome back, long time listener.
Okay. Flynn's dying. Yeah.
I forgot how to breathe.
Go see your dad, bitch. I love you.
I was so happy Alex Golden Boy got in on the Flynn's dad jokes near the end.
Dude, that shit was so fucking funny.
So good.
Dude, the uncomfortability of him was the funniest part.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was just so uncomfortable with talking about Flynn's dead father. It was so funny.
Diabetic Beer's first question. While Flynn and Pengu both had the problem with hearing the casters, some didn't like Leon Gids, so I don't know. I guess something glitched with some players. That's not a question, but it is a good topic to talk about. So, yes, during the show match, I could hear Troy and Tristan and Lycan, Mr. Justin Woods, absolutely flaming the living shit out of all of us. And I would actually like die laughing in the middle of a round because I could hear it happening. But you know, there were other players who didn't have that issue, so I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just the setup PC to PC. Maybe for the show match our white noise wasn't turned on for the headsets, but I thought it was.
Ours was. Yeah, I couldn't hear shit.
You couldn't hear shit? Interesting.
I couldn't hear shit.
So there you go. That's 2 people in the same game that have different experiences. So I don't know. I don't even know how you fix that at that point because it's differing results in
Literally,
the same
just
system.
put them in a fucking globe and just
There you
like
go.
pump
Putting
air
them in a
into the
box would be
globe.
nice. Putting them in a box, like there are soundproof boxes that like CWL has
They
used
can't do
before.
them because apparently it's a fire hazard.
Really?
Yeah.
There are other esports that have done them, but they were also a long time ago. So, and there hasn't been one in a while that I can remember. So, because like Sao Paulo, there were boxes, but again, that was the last time we saw boxes. Anyway, number 2, controversial decision by the admins to not give FaZe the point after server crash, and the same thing to Empire. I think FaZe and Empire both deserve the round points. So here's the thing. No, they didn't. And I know that sounds dumb, but
Gotta follow the rules.
you gotta follow the rules. And right now the rules say if it's not either team's fault, and when things like this happen online, the ruling obviously says that whichever team had a player DC, if it's after a certain point, like whoever wins that round gets the round. Because they have ESL has the ability to offset blame to the team. In this scenario, everything's on LAN. Everything's provided by ESL. Everything is in the same building in a controlled environment. Yeah, that's on ESL. So you can't shift blame at that point. So the only way to lessen blame is just to replay the round. Yeah, neither team really should have gotten the round. And I know FaZe was about to win. And I know Empire was about to win. I know they were about to win the rounds that they had to replay. We're very lucky that a second one, and I know this sounds really fucking dumb, but welcome to Siege. We're very lucky that a second crash happened. Because,
Yeah.
if not, yeah, I can see a lot of people being angry. But also, as the Thanos meme came out, and as Parker and Michael said on the broadcast, balanced as all things should be. It happened to either team. Disregard it for both. Move on. But when it comes down to ESL trying to keep things as fair as possible, you can't really award a team a round on hypotheticals, even though, yes, it was like a 4v2, and yes, there was 20 seconds left, and yes, the plant was going down. I understand that, and I know a retake in that situation is 1 in a million, but what if that 1 in a million happened? What if it was the craziest round we never got to see? You just can't say they were 90% sure to win the round. They were 99% sure to win the round. It's not definitive. It's not 100%. You can't give them the round based on hypotheticals. You have to replay it. It's the only thing that's fair.
Correct.
Question number 3 also isn't a question. So thank you, Diabetic Beer, for the Q&A section, not asking a single question. But point 3 is EG sad face. I agree. Moving on. Good old Brand Flakes. Are you disappointed with how short the eSports panel was? Edit. For instance, I was hoping they'd announced when SI 2020 tickets would go on sale. Last year, tickets went on sale late September. I wasn't a fan of how they didn't do that for Raleigh beforehand. I saw a lot of people, and I don't really know where the fuck this came from, but I saw a lot of people on the subreddit bitching about the eSports panel being so short. And I'm sorry, guys. What did you guys want announced? The roadmap was announced at SI. Nothing's changed. There aren't new tournaments. It's the same national programs going on. CL's still happening. Pro League's still happening. All the finals have been announced. Like, everything is announced in 2019.
Yeah, it was literally an update. Like, all the big stuff for esports happens at SI. You guys know this. You don't know it.
It was the pilot program. It was a pilot program because that was new. And then, like, yes, tickets aren't on sale yet. Probably because they're not ready to be on sale. Like, they might not have a venue picked out yet. You know, like, things take a long time. Like, they start planning SI next year. So the next SI, the day the previous SI ends. So SI 19 ended February 19th or February 18th. February 19th, they start planning the next one for SI 20. So there's a lot of stuff involved. And you might think, oh, well, they started planning it February 19th. Why don't they have a venue? Because those negotiations take a while. Like, there have been events in Siege that have had, like, venues locked down for, like, 3 months. And then all of a sudden, that venue tries to pull something, and they have to panic and swap venues at the last second. That has happened before at an event in Siege. So, outside of that, I mean, literally, what the fuck did you want announced? Like, I don't see where all the hatred comes from. I get that, yeah, it was short, but what do you want us to talk about? The patch notes? They've never talked about the patch notes. You know how many stealth changes have gone in? Every patch, it's a new patch with fucking a million game-changing changes in the patch notes. But that's also not just esports. That's like general patch notes. And for the reveals for the new seasons, it's always about, look at this new cool shit we have. You want people to stand up on a stage and talk about patch notes changes for an hour? Really? Like, if you want that, then say that. But don't just say, oh, the esports panel was so short. Like, that's all everyone on the subreddit was saying. It's like, oh, the esports panel was 10 minutes. They shouldn't have had the content creator cup then. Okay, those two have nothing to do with each other. Also, whoever the fuck said that, I don't remember who, but someone did say that verbatim on the Pro League subreddit. You're an idiot. They have nothing to do with each other. And I seriously question what everyone was expecting. Pilot program, here are the skins. There's not a whole lot to announce beyond that. They even went in depth. Stuart even like gave the whole fucking rundown of how the revenue breaks and how it changed from last year. I thought that was cool to know. I wanted to see what the revenue splits were. I wanted to see what teams were getting, and I wanted to hear how it was affecting the orgs and the prize pool for SI and all that shit. But like that, the roadmap was released at SI. Everything's been announced. There's nothing new to announce. And if that's what you're disappointed about, then say that. Say, I'm sad that there weren't more events created along the way. I'm sad that...
It goes back to that whole opinion thing, Flynn.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same conversation of pick what you want to say and be smart about what you want to say. Because, to be honest, I'm very confused at what else was supposed to be announced that they didn't. That's kind of where I'm at with that one.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it just goes back to the whole opinions conversation of just formulate a better opinion. Like, just don't sit here and be, oh, you know, they cut the esports panel short because of blank, blank, and blank. No, that's not why.
And
it was just that short.
It was just that short. There just wasn't much to talk about in the esports department because they spent half an hour doing it at SI, and they gave you the whole roadmap and everything.
This is where the PR department for Ubisoft looks at you guys and just giggles.
Yeah, I mean, they announced that fucking Japan was sold out. Cool. Again, like, what else is there to talk about? Japan is already known. We don't know the teams going yet, but we know the location, we know the venue, we know the tickets are sold out. Okay, what's up before that is DreamHack Montreal. Well, that's already been announced forever. The venue doesn't change. The Olympic Stadium in Montreal, September 6th to 8th. If you want to come by, grab a ticket. Still plenty left because no one goes to DreamHacks, at least for Siege. And the Olympic Stadium is massive. It can fit like 50,000 people in the stands. Obviously, it's not used just for Siege. It's used for everything else, from CSGO to StarCraft to Dota to everything, and Rocket League and all the games. But, like, want to come? Cool. Yeah, I really... I'm just shocked at that response, really. I really am just kind of shocked that people expected more to come out. Anyway, moving on. James Maiello. Hope I'm not pronouncing that wrong. What's up, you sexy fucks? You both did a great job casting. You're fucking asses. Oh, you fucking fuck asses. All right, you're really leaning in here. Also, fuck you, Stoax. Flynn fucked you up in the showcase match. Did I, though?
I shot Flynn in the head.
You did in the first round. After I deleted Veli. I'm so glad they showed that replay.
Veli got fucking removed,
dude, I fucking raped him.
Bro, I will tell you this though, dude. They went to our voice comms. I didn't know they were on our voice comms.
Oh yeah.
And they hard cut our voice comms because we were talking and they're like, yeah, good round, good round, good round. I was like, honestly, and this is on, you can go back and watch it. I go, honestly, I really could care. Well, I could care less what happens throughout the rest of this game because I shot Flynn in his fucking head, and then the voice comms just hard cut.
Yep.
Like, it was fucking great, dude.
All right. Question number 1: who was the most underrated player in Raleigh? I'm gonna say this. Stoax. Yeah, definitely. Underrated player. I think Kama. I don't think people gave Kama enough credit.
Kama,
the hard breach player for Fours. That dude was fragging out of his fucking mind. That dude was fragging out of his fucking mind. They put him against Goga, and he beat Goga in stats. Dude, Kama was on one, especially against Dark Zero, man. That dude, like, top fragged against Dark Zero on a map as a fucking thermite smoke. Like, that dude was fucking on one. Kama was great. I thought he was very underrated, and I thought people did not give him enough credit for what he was doing. He's also a very hype person. I like that. What's the nuttiest shit you've seen in Pro League besides Hungary's border race? The nuttiest shit I've seen? I don't fucking know. A million things. People are fucking incredible. I've seen a bunch of dumb shit.
Dude, Dan's shot on border was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Oh my god, where he shot the guy from the default I'm fucking streaming too long. The default spawn kill. Jesus, I can't talk. The default spawn kill that you punch through, and then the double windows that are over on the east side. No,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Ranked windows or waiting room windows.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you shoot him through that, and then he just ran through back to offices and just pre-fired through the break room wall and killed it fucking whoever outside. It's fucking insane, dude. That was such a crazy shot. That's just game sense so maxed out, dude. Just going, hey, but there's a guy out here and just fucking pre-fire it.
Mm-hmm. Number 3, what's an underused gun you want to see brought to a future op? That is an excellent question. An underused weapon that I'd like to see brought to a future op.
Tar 21.
Well, I can't. No more new weapons, smile.
He said a weapon brought to a new op. I want the Tar 21. If they do weapon licensings again, I want the Tar 21.
Okay, I would agree with that, but he said underused gun. So I imagine that means one that's already in the game.
Yeah, it hasn't been used, therefore it's underused.
There
Forehead.
you go. Fucking nailed it. I'm so proud of you.
Got it.
The SMG9.
Loopholes.
So the SMG9, the secondary for Clash, I think that's actually a pretty decent weapon. I'd like that to be a secondary on a future op. Outside of that,
Can we just give
I don't
everybody?
fucking
Oh, I want
know.
Thatcher to have the SMG 11.
I mean, might as well at this point. What the fuck is stopping you? You already did
Also,
it to the other two.
Also, I want them to revert the EMPs so that bandit tricking isn't fucking deleted from the game.
It's not deleted. They already tested it.
Huh?
It's not removed.
How's it not?
I don't know. It's just not.
So bandit batteries aren't affected?
I mean, Bandit will be affected, like, I don't know. I just saw someone tweet out a clip of them Bandit tricking while being EMP'd, so. I don't know. It's
So you
apparently
have
still
to-
possible.
Do you have to be in the animation?
I have no idea. I literally just watched a clip on. I haven't played a single day of TTS yet, or a single game of TTS yet. I don't even have it downloaded, so I have no idea.
By the way, I've been while we're sitting here, I've been watching a bunch of people playing like the new COD clips and shit on like Twitch and shit on my
looks
phone.
good.
It actually looks so good. On a side note, like if you guys are an avid Call of Duty person like Flynn and I are, Flynn used to play COD all the time when he was a kid. I fucking love Call of Duty.
Yep.
Good CODs, different. It's one of my favorite games of all time is Call of Duty. But this COD looks so very good, and I'm very excited for it.
Modern Warfare looks good. I might actually get into it to maybe start casting it. I don't know.
Dude, honestly, you should just play with me and Mason. We should just fucking steal people's money on wagers.
Bet.
Like, that would actually be so fun for streaming, dude.
It would be a lot of fun. Moving on though. Freeze 541. Sorry, your capitalization of the Z at the end fucked me up. Hey guys, y'all killed the casting at Raleigh. It's a lot of fun to watch these games, and your hype is bringing in my roommate who doesn't even play Siege. Keep it up. Thank you. We try. Number 1. Why, in a game rated mature, with the F-bomb in the game, was Fabian removed from stage before he could interview? Was it for cussing the day before, or just for a variety of reasons? Fabian's interviews bring a healthy level of drama to the game that is both entertaining and good for the scene, I feel. So, you have a 5-parter question, so I'm going to stay on this one for a minute. I agree with what Parker said yesterday in his Bang On, which was, yes, there are swear words in the game. Yes, thermite yells, a big fucking hole coming right up. I am well aware of that. We are all very well aware. However, it's a different kind of situation, so you have to look at this from more of a corporate standpoint. Ubisoft, ESL, and G2 all don't want a representative of them, because Fabian is a representative of all 3 of those companies when he's on stage giving an interview. They don't want someone who's going to go off the leash and start, I don't know, it's still seen as very unprofessional to start dropping an F-bomb in an interview. And it's a bad look on all 3 of those organizations if one of your players giving you an interview doesn't look like they respect the situation they're in or respect the representation that they bring to all 3 of those companies. When you're a representative of an organization like that, speaking on a platform like that. So, for instance, on my podcast, you're on my streams or in my daily life, I fucking swear a ton. I do. I naturally swear a lot. Is it a good thing? No. But it's just who I am. It's how I was raised. It's just my personality. And that stops as soon as I get on a cast. That stops as soon as I'm giving an interview for another outlet, whether it's media, whether it's ESL, whether it's Ubisoft. If I'm representing another company, I still have to act professional. Even if I'm not a very professional person, I still have to act professional in those situations. I don't act professional on a stream. I don't act professional here on the podcast because this is just me. This is me unfiltered. For Fabian to go and do that in the interview, on stage, in front of people, representing those three companies, it provides an issue. It brings forth an issue that you really just don't want to deal with, so they cut him from media. They cut him from the interview the next day. Could it have been handled better? I don't actually know, because I talked to the stage director who told him to fuck off when he came up for the interview. So if you guys will go back and watch that segment, I actually said, because it was me throwing it to Alex on stage, I said, turn your attention towards the stage to Alex and Fabian for the interview. The reason I said that is because I saw on the camera before we swapped to replays, I saw Fabian walking up the stage to Alex. I was never told at any point in time who the interviewee was going to be. I just saw that and assumed, because Fabian does a lot of interviews for G2, especially post-game, and I saw that happening, so I put two and two together and said, yeah, it's going to be Alex and Fabian again, and we're going to get some fireworks. The camera then cuts, and it's Pengu, and everyone laughs. And then I was taking off my headset, and I looked down at the screen, and it was Pengu on stage, and I went, fuck! I did it again! So, that's kind of what happened there with the throw. And then, the way the stage director explained it to me was, Fabian gets emotional when shit like this happens, and obviously the second-hand accounts of people, or first-hand accounts of people who were sitting in the crowd who watched this
shit
happen.
was on Reddit so fast.
It was on Reddit incredibly quickly from fans who watched this happen. And the Reddit account is, Fabian walks up to the interview, stage director tells him to go away, Fabian blows a fucking gasket. And a lot of people were saying, well, they should have told him beforehand. I asked the stage director, I said, hey, you know, why was Fabian surprised? Why did this cause like a big fuck up? And he said, because Fabian can get angry about things like this, and the last thing I wanted to do was piss him off before a game. The last thing I wanted to do was set Fabian on tilt, because the game matters more than the interview happening after. We had already decided yesterday, before this game was ever played, that Fabian would not be allowed to interview. And yet, we wanted to put the game first. So we were willing to deal with the blowback of him being shocked in the moment afterwards, then piss him off before a game, and potentially cause G2 to be on tilt heading into an aggressive game. That was the explanation I got from the stage director. And honestly, I respect the hell out of that.
That's extremely sound.
I respect the fuck out of that. We may have our gripes with ESL. We may have our gripes with Ubisoft. But at the end of the day, they do care about the game and they care about the teams. And that right there really showed me that they are willing to take a lot of shit to put the game first. And I respected the fuck out of that explanation. I respected the fuck out of that stage director. I love him. And I hope that situations like this are maybe handled preemptively the day beforehand, so outbursts like this don't happen on a stage. Yeah, they probably could have gone to him at the end of the day after that, the previous interview where he dropped an F-bomb and did all the shit. They probably could have gone up to him after that and said, hey, look, you're cut. You're not doing any more interviews. Could have done that. They didn't. So they handled it the best they could in the situation to preserve the integrity of the game being played. And I respect that. So there were mistakes on both sides. At the end of the day, given the information I have, I'm inclined to agree with ESL and agree that the game does come first, and cutting Fabian from the interview in general, as a whole thing, is beneficial for the companies that are being represented by him when he's giving the interview. Samuel, anything to add?
Well, I think that obviously your insight is a little bit better because you obviously talked to the stage manager, but I'm going to have to agree with you on all fronts. I think that, you know, it's a lesson learned kind of shit, you know, like everyone gets In the words of Ubisoft themselves, for when I slipped up and said like a rabid fucking dog on USN, everyone gets one no word.
Yep.
Fabian knows exactly what he's doing. Fabian's done this before. Like he knows Fabian gets interviewed all the time. As Fabian does Fabian, he enjoys being at the center of that shit. That's perfectly fine. Like it's not like Fabian's being a fucking he's not brown nose, he's not doing anything. He's literally just that's Fabian's personality, his persona inside of the esports environment. And sometimes it's needed. But you can't push it that far and do that. I actually believe that NVK also got in trouble after his thing at Milan as well, didn't he?
Amar, but yeah, he did.
Yeah, Amar.
Yeah, he got penalty points for that.
Did I say MVK?
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. I meant Necrox.
Yeah. So Amar got EG got penalty points for that. And he did get in trouble for that, even though he handled it a little bit better. He even asked Matt preemptively, hey, can I swear?
Can I swear? They said, we're tired of fucking losing. And then they lost.
Number 2, you don't need to read the entire question. Feel free to summarize. Well, I'm going to read the entire question because, I don't know, I'm an idiot.
How many more of these do we have? Jesus Christ.
Like 5 more.
Oh, all right.
You guys may already answer this in the podcast, but G2 up until the finals looked deadly while Empire struggled through semis, and then everyone on that team, Empire, in brackets, showed up for the final and G2 looked off. Specifically, that 3K from Shepard on border was just an unheard of a G2 moment, I feel, when no one refragged on 1 kill, let alone 3. What happened? Will G2 come back with a vengeance, as Matt speculated on Twitter? I think G2 will absolutely come back with a vengeance, and I think that fans were kind of deceived in what was happening. They just kind of looked at the games, multiple games that were happening, and didn't exactly look at the teams that each team was playing. So G2, I'm not going to say they had an easy road to make it, but let's be honest, they had a bit of a softer run to get to the finals than Empire did, especially when you look at matchups. Because Empire against FaZe love to play that kind of aggressive refrag game. There are few teams in the world right now who are willing to get down into the mud and really play just a scrappy fucking gunfight game. There are a lot of teams out there who play strategic, who try to take things in phases, and Empire throws a lot of those teams off by employing a lot of chaos into their game and positioned, like, targeted aggression. They aren't just running around with their heads cut off. They have a mission and a goal every round, but they have this kind of looseness about them that really starts to throw teams off when they're expecting their opponents to play a step-by-step game. FaZe is one of those teams. Secret is one of those teams. They had 2 very, very well-equipped teams to take them down into the dirt and play that kind of scrappy, no-holds-barred game style. Versus G2, who had to play TSM, a team that's very procedural, and you had to play Fours, who are typically, at least from what we saw in the group stage, willing to fucking send it. They're all over the place in the group stage, but Fours, I don't know, they forgot to stick out their claws and fight a little bit, man. Fours looked like they were scared the whole time. They didn't play that same kind of game style. They didn't play that same kind of aggressive run, and G2 had their way with them because that's what they do. For Empire, I don't think they struggled. I think they just got hit with matchups that played well. And, it looked like Empire were struggling, but I guarantee you if you had G2 against FaZe or G2 against Secret, it would have been a different story. And yes, I know G2 played Secret in the group stage, casted it. And yes, that game was a 2-0 for G2, but they were closer. And there were a lot of rounds in that game that came down to like 1v1s, 2v1s, shit like that. Like Meepy had a bunch of like 1v3s throughout the entire event. And those kind of teams play well against Empire as well. And then in terms of the finals, I mean, I don't know that G2 didn't show up. I just think on the 4th map, man, things just kind of fell off the rails for them. But for the first 3 maps, man, those were intense fucking matches. Those were intense fucking maps for the first 3. So I don't think they fell off.
That's what Siege should look like.
Exactly.
That is what Siege should look like, dude. Like,
I think, honestly, Empire, after learning their lesson from 22 rounds of Coastline in Montreal in February, I think they learned their lesson about pacing. I think they learned their lesson about stamina. And I think they put a lot of work in and probably did a lot of work behind the scenes in terms of scrims. of going 5, 6, 7 maps in a row, trying to build up that stamina. It's like a UFC fighter who, for the first time, has been playing 3-round fights or fighting in 3-round fights their entire career. They finally get a championship fight, and that's why the commentators always in the UFC talk about championship rounds. Do you have the stamina to make it to rounds 4 and 5 and make it through? I imagine the same thing happened with Empire. They went through 22 rounds of Coast and never looked the same after that.
That's a good argument.
And then they did a lot of training behind the scenes to build up their stamina, and I think G2 was still playing a 3-map game style, thinking, we're going to get them in 3. And then they lost the first map, and things started to kind of turn mentally for both teams. Empire thinking, holy fuck, we finally did it. We got a map off them, because it was the first time it had ever happened. And G2 said, fuck, this is going 4. And they still continued to fight. I think Empire just had more stamina, and I think they put in more work to play a 5-map game than G2 did, and it showed on map 4. It looked like G2 just ran out of energy, and Empire were looking to roll for 4, 5, and 6 maps if they needed to, which obviously isn't a thing, but that's kind of my interpretation of the finals there. Number 3, I feel both operators will have low impact on Pro League because they don't introduce game-breaking gadgets. What are your thoughts? You mean the new operators, Amaru and Goyo? Like I said, we've talked about those. Yeah. Number 4, EG and the Giants look terrible. What in the world happened? Is a sports psychologist like the one for the Counter-Strike team in order... Completely lost the question. In order for EG to be remotely successful? I don't think you can say EG hasn't been remotely successful. They made it to the finals in Milan and were 1 round away from winning. They made it to the quarters and had a tough matchup against a team, against Rec, that they've always historically had troubles against. But I think a sports psychologist is beneficial for any team. I completely agree with sports psychology. I actually dated a sports psychologist for a little bit, and honestly,
damn, dude, was she hot?
Yeah.
Bad, dude.
She actually worked with a minor league hockey team for a couple of years, and they got markedly better with her. And it was because, honestly, at the end of the day, you can be as built tough as you can be to walk into a game and play it on the ice, but there are still a lot of mistakes made mentally in every sport, whether it's an esport or a traditional sport. I used to be told this by every coach I ever played for in any sport, whether it was hockey, football, or baseball. The game is 20% physical, and it's 80% in between your ears. It's mental. And one of my hockey coaches actually back in the day used to have a very, very common phrase about awareness and always being aware, which was, if you're not thinking 6 feet around you and 6 inches between your ears, then you're not playing the game right. Because if you're only looking at things 20 feet away from you and you're not thinking about how things affect you long term, you're not going to win. So sports psychologists, I think every team should have a sports psychologist, or a coach should try their best to be a psychologist or a sports psychologist for a team. The mental aspects of playing on a stage clearly have shaken a lot of good teams. The Giants as well are a team that notoriously choke on LAN, and they've done it time and time again. They looked good in Valencia, but I think the pressure was off them in Valencia. And say what you will about DreamHacks, it's not the same as a major. No matter what, it's not the same as a major. No matter where you are, no matter what event you play, until you actually play on a stage at a major, it is entirely different. I don't think there would be any issue with sports psychologists coming into Siege. I think it would benefit every team who has these kind of issues. And even with a sports psychologist, let's say who's a team that have never played on LAN before? The Sonics, for example. A lot of those players haven't played on LAN before. And they definitely haven't played at a major. You can do as much prep work as you want with a sports psychologist heading into that. Let's say they qualify for SI somehow. You can do as much prep work as you want, but nothing will prepare you like being there. EG, on the other hand, has been there a billion times, and yet this still happens. So I think at this point, not extreme, but intervention is required. Number 5. Oh, do you want to add on that?
I was going to say that I completely agree with you on sports psychology. I think it's a real thing. I think that there's a lot of times, even inside of, just life in general, where there's times where you get down on yourself and you just, especially in times where things are extremely crucial and you start feeling that pressure, it's difficult. It's like, I actually just tweeted about this earlier. I said, pressure forms diamonds. basically what I said, is that pressure forms diamonds. Like, you have to go through hard times. You have to fight through those hard moments in life, inside of games, inside of whatever, in order to achieve what you want to achieve. It's the exact same mentality. So if you can get somebody there to help you with that mentality and get it better between your ears, then you need that. And I think it's something that's been instituted already in quite a few different aspects of esports, just has not been instituted inside of our area of esports.
2 more questions from this guy. Should TTS make the new ops unbannable? The entire point of the test server is to test those ops and get feedback.
Absolutely.
Yep. 100%. 100%. Don't allow them to be banned because there's a lot of shitbags out there. And final question, just for fun, what was the best food you had in Raleigh and who got more drunk? I'm going to say I got more drunk because I didn't see a whole lot of Sam outside of the events unless we went to like dinner or something.
You got more drunk.
I definitely got more drunk. I had a lot of fun. Favorite food? Mac and cheese. I love mac and cheese, man.
Oh,
and
dude,
I'm a very
mac and cheese. It was fire.
I'm a very simple person, man. I'm a very simple person. I do not like creative or extravagant foods. I grew up on shit food. I will always eat shit food and simple food. All the catering we had, so we've done a bunch of events now where catering is provided, like the event will provide us food. And a lot of it tries, at least in my opinion anyway, tries to be very like creative or inventive or like crazy extra. And it's just, I don't like it. I would rather have pizza, just a plain cheese pizza every day than any of this fucking crazy food.
Cheese pizza with Tabasco, dude. That's what
There you
I
go.
want.
I'd eat that every single day in Raleigh.
I would slam a cheese pizza with some Tabasco, dude. 100%.
Versus like eggplant roasted risotto with fucking like mushrooms and calamari and like all this shit. And I'm like,
pate. Like,
yeah.
what the fuck?
I'm like, dude, I get it, but there's too much shit going on, man. Just give me a slice of fucking pizza and an old fashioned, and I'll be happy. Mad love, guys. Glad to see the podcast on a regular schedule. Yes, we are back on a regular schedule now. Yep. Habaneba.
That's a name.
That's a name. Do you think Empire would have still won the event if other teams like EG, Fnatic, and Nora had shown up in their matches? Yeah, they beat G2. They beat the presumptive best team in the world. I think Empire was going to win it regardless of who showed up. That was Lucifer, Please Take Me. Oh no, that was Habaneba. Sorry. Lucifer, Please Take Me. Thoughts on the audio issues some pros brought up, being able to hear casters in the stage. Like I said, it seemed like it was case to case. So I guess there's just more testing required from ESL while they set it up to make sure that you can't, like, each computer has the same kind of setup and you can't hear. Yeah, I don't really know, because like I said, I heard a lot of casting from Troy and Tristan and Justin, but you didn't, and we played in the exact same match, in the exact same scenario, with the exact same crowd in front of us. Like, it seems like it was case to case. And what is EUCL looking like, and are they going to be able to take out some EU Pro League teams, and if so, which? I think right now the front runners to be relegated out of EU will be Penta and Sisu. And my front runners to make it out of EUCL are probably still Fours and Secret, but you can't really count out teams like Excoskilla, like BDS, like Trust, Avangar, who just lost their org, who've been on a bit of a decline lately. I mean, there are so many damn good teams in T2 and T3 in EU, so I just, it looks wide open. I'll have a better idea, I guess, as the beginning of the season kicks off for Challenger League, which we still don't know even when it kicks off after the quals are done. So, yeah. That's my thing. Anything, Sam?
What was the question?
EUCL teams, which teams from Pro League are going to get relegated, and which teams will make it out?
Team Secret, as well as Fours. I think Fours, complete honesty, I'm going to agree with Fabian. I think a lot of people play like shit against them. I think Fours does have skill. I just don't think they were pushed to their limit at all. I think Secret will definitely test that. I can tell you that 100%. I don't know exactly who else besides maybe Excoskilla, like you're talking about, would really test them. Sisu is the fuck out, though. They're gone, 100%.
I think Penta's gone, too. I don't think they'll climb out of the hole. The good news is there's no more auto relegation, so you have to actually beat them in a best of 3. All right, we're down to the final 3, even though this one's a 3-parter, and then there's a couple long ones after that. So, Bullpup R6. Firstly, it was an honor to meet my favorite casters. Oh, and Flynn was there. He seems like an all right dude. Go fuck yourself.
That was such a good shot, dude.
Yeah. Number 1, what are your thoughts on a change to the operator pick and ban system? Is the current system fine with attacker, attacker, defender, defender, or could a change to defender, attacker, attacker, defender be better? Is there any kind of precedent set for this system? So the thing with that is, if you flipped it, you then have to flip who bans first. So right now, you jump into a custom game, defense will ban first, and they will ban an attacker. So if you flipped it on the other way around, where a defender gets banned first, then the attack has to ban first, because you never want to put teams who are starting on that side banning an operator from the same side. You don't want to be fucking... I like the system the way it is right now, where you ban something from the opposite side, and then you push it around to the other way. I don't really see changing, like, if you go defender, attacker, attacker, defender, but still have defense banned first, then taking away a defender and then having the opposite team take away an attacker first, I think there's less strategy involved with that. And you don't, like, you tip a lot of your hand by taking away what you don't play versus taking away something that they play. It removes a lot of the strategy from researching bans and researching teams on what they like to ban and what they like to play, because it would ultimately remove target bans into the last 2 bans. And let's say, I don't know, if you're starting on defense and you ban a Valkyrie, well, the first thing the other team is going to do when they get to ban their defender is fucking ban Echo. Because then you know that they don't like to play Valkyrie, and you can get rid of, you can still run IQ for other shit, but the first thing I do when I see that is I also get rid of an Echo, versus if I'm a defender and I ban an attacker and I ban something like Thermite, well, then I'm still up in the air. Then I'm not really sure. I don't know, I like the system the way it is, and I think if you inverted the order in which the operators get banned, then you also have to invert who starts first, and then it just becomes the same thing, but in the opposite order. Sam?
Hit me with the question again.
God damn, are you even paying attention?
Yeah.
Okay. Right now, the ban system is attacker, defender, defender, attacker.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see anything wrong with that? Or would you like to swap it to this system that this man has, or woman has proposed, which is defender, attacker, attacker, defender?
No, I think that the system's just fine right now. Look, here's the thing. There's no point in flipping it or doing anything, because the bans are still going to happen how they're going to happen. Like, you don't pick in between the bans, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah,
You could literally go fucking attacker, defender, fucking attacker, defender, and it would literally still be the same fucking shit.
Yeah, I think changing the system to the way you've proposed would limit a lot of target bans. Like, you could still do them in the second round, it just has less impact.
Yeah.
And I think something that could be added to the ban system that I think would be interesting would have your first wave of bans. So your orange team, you're banning first because you're on defense. You take out an attacker. Blue team then takes out an attacker as well. Then there's a phase of a pick for each team that can't be banned. And then, so you do one operator on each side. It could be either side of the game. It could be attacker, it could be defender. And then you roll in to your next bans. I think that would be interesting. I think if you could have a phase in the middle after 2 bans where you could pick operators that can't be banned, that would add more strategy. But again, I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever employ something like that.
I don't think they will.
I don't think they will, but it would be cool. Number 2, what are your thoughts on the random selection for the operators chosen for the pilot program, with some operators getting a chosen set? Buck, for example, having Rogue in Phase 1 and now MIBR in Phase 2. As someone who supports both teams, I'm less inclined to get the MIBR set because I'd have to stop running my Rogue set. Which ops from previous phases should ops from previous phases be locked to avoid this? It's difficult. So yeah, they said that everything was randomized. I'm gonna come out and say, even though I have Ubisoft confirmation that they were randomized, I still doubt that.
Dude, right?
Yeah, I
Like
still doubt
everything
that.
makes too much sense, dude. It makes too much sense.
I still doubt it.
Oh my
I
God.
think there was some cherry picking going
When
on.
Stuart was like it was randomized, I was like, please explain how SSG got Echo then.
Right.
Like
Right. So I think there
Ugh.
are too many coincidences for it to be completely random, and I think it's smart to not have it be completely random. Echo is a team, or Echo is an operator that's associated a lot with SSG because of Redeemer. Is Redeemer still on that roster? No. Were these decisions made a long time ago? Yes. So I think it's smart because you want to kind of play off that. If there's an operator well known for your team, like if Liquid got the MPX, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because of Nesk, because he plays a lot of Valk. If, I don't know, Nora got the MPX as well, makes a lot of sense because Waka's insane play on Valk at SI. I think it makes a lot of sense to bounce it off of what your team notoriously plays. And yeah, there's instances like G2 where they got Sledge, and it's like, yeah, no shit, they got Sledge, not because they play it a lot or it's notorious to their team, but
Because
they won
they
the
got the
fucking
Hammer.
6 Invitational. A Hammer is, like, synonymously linked with G2 in Infinity. Like, it'll never be taken away from them. Even if they never win an SI ever again, the Hammer will always be linked to them because they won it back-to-back. Like,
and tell somebody to goes for the 3-peat like the fucking Bulls, baby.
yeah, like, I think cherry picking is smart. And in terms of locking previous operators, I think you run into issues where you're like, so Ashe would still be open, and Jaeger would still be open, but then you'd lose ops that are very well played, like Buck. You'd lose ops that are well played, like Sledge. And I think a lot of the focus for a lot of these pilot program operators is that you, and especially with elites that are coming out as well, you don't see a whole lot of operators that are brand new getting shit. And there's 2 reasons behind that. Number one is the operators that have been out longer obviously build more standing and are more synonymous with certain teams because they've been out longer. They've just been played by those teams longer. And number 2, a lot of new players who are coming in, they might not have those operators yet. You know, it takes a while to get all the DLC operators, and some of the newer ones they may just not have been inclined to purchase yet with Renown or R6 credits. And they got to be aware of that. They got to be aware that, you know, what if we put out a fucking knock headgear or uniform or weapon skin? What if no one has knock? You know, like what if no one has Maestro yet, or no one has Alibi yet, and we put it on Alibi? Like, what if these operators that are too new just haven't been bought by a majority of the community yet? And obviously they have statistics on this. They have background statistics that we're not privy to. They know who has what operators. So they probably put in the operators that are most purchased or most accessible to all players for these uniforms, so that it's not like, oh, I'm going to drop, you know, $100 on the eSports set, but I can't use half of it because I don't have those operators yet. So then I have to go drop more money on the fucking operators just to get them. And they're brand new operators to me, so I haven't played them yet, so I'm not inclined to buy. Like, it becomes a revolving door of non-interest. So I think it's smart to be able to cherry pick and reuse the operators, because eventually, if you see this progression happening, eventually we're going to have to start doubling up and tripling up and quadrupling up on operators if we keep doing this every year. Because there's only 8 operators that come out every year, and yet they just dropped, what, 8, 9, 10? I don't even remember the final number of uniforms and gun skins and charms that were put out last year, but then you add another 14 onto that, like, you're almost halfway done you're almost halfway done the operators, right? So
Right.
I think, like, the math doesn't add up to keep doing new ops in terms of the long term anyway.
Still pisses me off that they're not all universal.
That does also suck. I kind of wish they
would-
were universal, but then you have a situation where not everyone buys all of them, right?
Who fucking cares?
They do, because it's monetization. It goes to
I know.
Ubisoft, it
I
goes to
know
the
it's a
orgs, prize
business.
pools.
Reed.
Yeah,
Shoot me in my fucking face, dude.
capitalism. Number 3. Lastly, what are your thoughts about developing universal weapon skins for teams in the pilot program? We kind of
Yes.
just accidentally talked
But
about
it's
that.
a business, so they're never gonna do it because it's money and they're greedy fucks.
For example,
Just kidding.
I don't necessarily want to run Echo to rep my favorite team SSG, but I also don't want to swap my charms to use theirs as well. That's also going to be an issue, so it's a double-edged sword, right? You're going to have outfits that come out onto operators that people don't play. Do you
Yep.
still buy
Also-
it because it's your favorite team? Do you buy it just in pure support? Do you buy it, or do you just choose not to buy it because it's not on your favorite operator? So it's a double-edged sword of, you could probably capitalize monetization, making them universal, because then you could put it on any operator you wanted, but it takes forever for them to do universal outfits.
Yeah, it does.
Takes
That's why I would say it's actually a good excuse.
Ever for them
As
to
much
do
shit
universal.
talking as I love to do, like it's actually like super difficult for them to do that shit. So
I
from
guarantee
what we
you,
know, by the
yeah,
way,
from what
so.
we've been told anyway about how art gets implemented into the system, it is incredibly fucking difficult to do universal weapon skins and universal uniforms.
Hence why the universal skins are so fucking easy.
Yeah, and also why universal charms have always been a thing, because they don't change based on, like, the only thing they change is position on the gun. That's all they change. And that's always a set point on every gun. Versus weapon skins that have to have specific details showing at specific points wrapped around 100 different models. That takes a lot of time to do. So, you know, you can rant and rave.
Which is
about
also why when they added new guns to the game that they didn't backlog skins.
Yes, that's why seasonal universals did not then be retroactively applied to new weapons. So, like, if you bought the Velvet Shell Elite, which is that purple fade or the pink fade weapon skin, it's only available on guns from Velvet Shell and then previously. It's not available on any weapons beyond that point because they weren't developed for those weapons.
Also, can they just do me a favor and give me my skins from my Xbox account so I can have my favorite skin of the game? Thank you.
Exactly. And that's also why you'll be seeing a decrease in, why we've already seen a decrease in universal seasonal skins. Previously, every season there's been 4 universal skins. It's now down to 2 for Ember Rise, because it takes so fucking long to do universal skins, and there's so many goddamn guns in the game. Moving on. Bearded Elo. Does TSM have what it takes to be a true contender in North America during the near future? Seems like they have a good balance of star power and individual talent without going full brick brain, something I sort of expected them to go for with Bolo, Merc, and Achieved all in the same roster. With what you've seen in them, especially on LAN, do you guys think they have the potential to one day rival the top teams in North America? There are 2 reasons why I believe TSM will absolutely be a top contender in North America in the very near future. Number 1 is, while you did mention their 3 very, very skilled aggressive fraggers in Bolo, Merc, and Achieved, they also have incredible balance between supports, and they value support. A team like Reciprocity doesn't necessarily value support. They have people who play support because you have to, but realistically, every person on that team is a fragger. There's a clear mindset with TSM that they value support players and clutch potential as well. Bio is one of the more clutch players, and you know, he doesn't necessarily rival someone like Bolo or Achieved with gun skill, but what he does rival them on and outpace them incredibly well on is IGLing ability and support play. You need to have that balance. So I think there's already a good culture with TSM in terms of their roster, in terms of what they feel they need in their team. And I think the other thing is they're so young. Achieved and Bio just came into Pro League a season and a half ago. Bolo just got picked up for this season. Merc just got picked up for this season. Pojo's obviously been around for a very long time. So he's that kind of leader in the room. He's that calming presence. He's the veteran. But if we're seeing this much rapid increase of ability, especially on LAN, especially against some of the best teams globally, from such a fresh team, you gotta be scared for what the fuck they can do in the future after they've been around for a while. I promise you, and I'll say this right now, TSM will make main stage at SI 2020. They haven't even qualified for it yet. Lord knows what could happen in qualifiers. Lord knows what could happen in group stage.
6 months back.
I'm
baby.
calling it 6 months in the future. TSM will at least make main stage of SI 2020.
Okay, I like it.
They already did it in Raleigh. I don't think that's that much of a hot take.
I didn't think. I mean, I'm not trying to give you the hot take back, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not. I agree with you. Honestly, I think that
Yeah.
if they continue down the same path, they're going to be a very highly contested team inside of the World of Rainbow Six. To see what happens. I mean, TSM definitely has the money to keep them funded. So.
And the last question, because we've been going for a hot fucking minute here, we are already at almost 3 hours.
Holy fuck. This is going to be the longest podcast ever.
We have done a 3-hour episode before, So
fuck me in my
we
mouth.
might not make it to 3.
That's good.
Anyway, last question from XSM17. Not sure if you've answered this before, but with the next stage of CL qualifiers kicking off again and Intero's comments on North America Tier 2, what are your thoughts on this next season of CL with the teams already qualified and those making the push to do so? So, including myself in this conversation, because I am currently 3 wins off of making Challenger League as of 3 hours ago, I don't like this qualifier system. I think this qualifier system breeds poor teams making it in. And I think that, and this is no shade to the other teams that have beaten me specifically, this is not to sound salty, but I think teams like the Embers and like Two-Faced are not as well equipped to hang in Challenger League as a team like Leftovers, like Yardy's team. I think that this qualifier system is pretty fucking broken. And I've been very vocal about that, both on Twitter and on here on the podcast. And I'm not looking forward to whether or not if I make it to CL or not, I'm not looking forward to this season of Challenger League in any region because of the qualifier system being so RNG. You get a good bracket, you're making it. You get a bad bracket, you might not make it, even if you're the better team. You just have to go up against tougher competition. And with this current setup, if you lose once at any point in time, you have to play sometimes double the number of games as the winners bracket teams do. And that is all completely randomized. A team that could not make it to even the competition portion of Canadian Nationals was randomly assigned the number 1 seed in today's qual. A team that we personally slapped 7-2 tonight was the number 2 seed. We were the 50 seed. It is completely random. It has no basis in reality. And it's a system that is just so fundamentally broken, I don't understand why we went back to it. Because the Swiss system kept you in line. Except for the first 2 rounds, where everyone is still 0-0 or 1-0. Except for those first 2 rounds, everything from there on out in Swiss, you're playing a team at your competition level or better every single game. And it keeps things fair. And then you go into a system with best of 3s. For the last 2 qualifiers in North America, you do not have to play a best of 3 to make Challenger League. Why in the world does that make sense? Tell me how that makes any fucking sense, man.
It doesn't, my dude.
Best of 3s have already been proven to be the most competitive, outside of best of 5s, have already been proven to be the most competitive setting in Rainbow Six Siege. Everyone hates BO1s. Everyone likes BO3s. Because it proves if you are a one-map team, if you are a one-trick pony, or if you can actually hang on nearly half the map pool. And if you can hang against a team that is evenly rated with you on half the map pool, then you probably belong to be in that same kind of echelon as the team you're going up against. But if you can only hang on one map, and the other 6 are pure dog shit, then you probably don't deserve to be in that same tier as that team. But for whatever reason, and I fucking fail to find a coherent, logical reason as to why the qual format was changed. I cannot find one. So here are all the reasons why this system is worse. Number 1, it's double elimination instead of triple elimination, with Swiss being triple elimination. If you lost 3 games, you were done for. You were immediately eliminated. Now you only get 2 chances of that. Does that affect a team like me that doesn't lose a whole lot? No. Does that affect the teams that will be making it to Challenger League? No, not a whole lot. But your matches don't make any fucking sense because you're randomly seeded into this bracket. And I've already hit that point a million times. Next up is the time it takes to complete a qualifier. In Swiss, there are a maximum of 8 games. 4 games on day 1, 4 games on day 2. In this current system, you could play 16 BO1s. If you lose your first game and make it all the way through the losers bracket to the grand final, you will play 16 maps. That takes twice as long as 8 PO1s. That's just fucking math. The third problem with this format...
Dude, did you just do math?
I just did math live. I'm breaking all the rules.
Dude.
The third problem with this format is that not all the games start at the same time. In Swiss, the rounds end every 90 minutes. If you have a game that goes beyond 90 minutes, you probably had some weird shit going on in your game. And even if the round kicks over while you haven't finished your game, you get a draw. It doesn't knock you out, but it doesn't help you. And yeah, that kind of sucks for the 3 fucking times it happened last CL qual out of like the 300 games or whatever were played. Like, the amount of waiting we have to do between games is insanity. During the first CL qual while I was back in Montreal, we had an ESL admin approve a delay of a game from 7 o'clock starting time to 9:30 starting time. But they also cut you off at 11 p.m. You cannot start another game after 11 p.m. We sat around for 3 hours to play one best of one at 10:45. Everyone else in the fucking bracket was playing their games and moving along, but that held up the bracket for an extra entire day. It took 5 days to complete the first North American Challenger League qualifier versus Swiss, which would have been guaranteed to every qual. And the next problem, and the last problem, is that they arbitrarily decided that if you lost or you just make it to the grand finals for quals 3 and 4, you get a CL spot because there's 6 spots open in North America. How? There's no playoff? There's no playoff for that. You just, what? You lose in the finals of qual 2, but you lose in the semifinals of qual 3. Go fuck yourself? You're clearly a team that belongs. You're clearly a team that has fought through a lot of good competition. And yet, you know, they arbitrarily said, yeah, the last 2 quals are where we'll put the extra spots. Okay. Cool. Like, this qual system is so fucking terrible. And it's gonna breed shit teams into CL. I just, give me, like, if anyone out there has an explanation as to how the system is somewhat better than Swiss, fucking lay it on me, because I'm lost. So I'm not looking forward to Challenger League, whether I'm playing it or not. I'm not looking forward to Challenger League. I think this is a huge step backwards, and this is a huge blunder by ESL, and I can't for the life of me find a justification. And Challenger League as a whole, the Tier 2 scene as a whole in North America, is already pretty fucking hot garbage. And this is just going to worsen things. It honestly will. I don't see how this is supposed to improve things at all. So those are my thoughts on upcoming Challenger League season. Samuel, anything to touch on?
For the Challenger League, I would say that the competition's more than likely going to be abysmal. I don't think that there's going to be anything that's really going to bring some crazy amount of skill to the forefront. I don't really see much going on. I think even like the lower end of our PL right now inside of NA is somewhat trash compared to the rest of the world. So we will see what happens with it.
All right, and the second part of your question, Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. XSM17, we have already answered a couple times. So that's going to do it. Oh, never mind. We had a person comment an hour ago while I was going through this. So, one more from Crimson Arrow 17 before we wrap it up. Hey guys, long-time listener, first-time poster. I feel like this is a radio show now. Long-time listener, first-time caller. It's a big thing in sports radio. Anyway, what is your opinion on the strength of certain coaches for teams? There was a discussion on the Pro League subreddit about the impact of Razor GM for Empire going 7-0 after the Coastline tactical timeout. Just hoping for your guys' thoughts on the matter. In terms of coaches, I think we've seen a lot of situations with coaches being cheerleaders, and we've seen a lot of situations for coaches actually benefiting their teams. And I think the biggest divide that we've seen in coaching responsibilities came when teams started picking up dedicated analysts. If you have dedicated analysts that go in and actually research other teams, that's their goal. And then you have a coach that focuses on your own team. I think that separation of responsibility really stepped things up in Siege as a whole. And I think coaches in the past were tasked with way too much. You know, they have to build strats, they have to research other teams, they have to develop their own team, they have to be a psychologist, they have to be a parental figure basically for a team, on top of all the duties and responsibilities of an analyst and a coach put into one. And I think if you separate those responsibilities and have a dedicated analyst for opposing teams, and you have a coach dedicated to building up your own team, then things start to flourish a lot better. So I like what SSG has done. I like what G2 has done with splitting up those responsibilities. I hope to see it more in the future, especially with Empire. They actually do have an analyst who keeps chirping me every time I don't predict that they'll win something, and then they win. I'm sorry, I don't even know your name, but you do love coming up to me after Milan and Raleigh and saying, hey, you didn't predict us this time. Very true, but yeah. Empire does it as well. I don't know his name, though. Anything, Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys, it's been 3 fucking hours. We're done.
I'm stressed. I
We're
want
done.
alcohol.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah, we're so fucking done. So, thank you for all your questions, guys. It was very thought-provoking, and you're welcome for doing 2 hours of Q&A.
sorry for not paying attention. I'm just you'll see why later. Anyways.
Yeah. It's been a tough night for Sam. He did truck through this. I even gave him the option to not do it tonight and do it tomorrow. But I think tomorrow he's going to be really hungover. So everybody give a round of applause for Sam for going through some tough things and making it through this episode
and we're
of the
totally
podcast.
cutting out that earlier thing so I don't look like a complete and total fucking jackass. Yay!
Yes, Sam had a mental breakdown earlier on, and I'm going to remove it. So I'd also like to thank everybody for watching.
Go to the koyostore.com, use code BLeaguers, all caps, to get fucking cool shit.
There's our outro. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We appreciate you very much. We've also appreciated the uptick in viewership and listenership over the last little while. So, again, much appreciated. We'll see you again sometime soon. I don't think next week is a possibility for me.
We'll tweet it. Just make sure you guys follow the @BLeaguers Twitter.
And there also isn't a whole lot going on next week, so we won't have a whole lot to talk about. So there we go, guys. Thank you very much for watching and listening. We appreciate you very much. Head to thekoyostore.com. Use code BLeaguers. It's 5% off your entire order. Helps us out as well. Thank you very much, and good night.